We are here. Welcome back to the Festival of Combat situation. All right. We are here. We are ready. August 2023, EU Minor on PC. But before we get into anything, let me talk to my co-host with the most. Frosty, what's going on?
Dude, what's up, man? I'm so excited, dude, to
Hell yeah.
actually be seeing what's laid out before our eyes on this very day, dude.
Yes. Hell yes. I'm very excited about this. This is going to be pretty awesome, pretty new. I mean, we did have a sort of a tester tournament last week, but the rules are somewhat limited, and for now, at least. And we will find out sort of where they are. But as we see, we have 16 players. You could look at the challenge on Twitch here, and we have 16 players. Let's go through the players real quick before we go through the
hmm
bands and things like that. You can tell me any little tidbits you know about some of these players. But first up, we have Space Ranger versus Chan. What do you know about them?
Oh boy, dude. Space Ranger is one of the best players in EU. He is
They are
just,
ranked one.
yeah, he's played exceptionally well throughout just over the past year. He's been a consistent player all throughout, just absolutely exceptional with Hall stock, I will say. Like,
Okay.
just unbelievable spacing. His ability to shut down his opponent with the aggressive spacing, it's absolutely unparalleled.
Yeah. Although we will see later on that stock is banned. So
Yes,
a lot of
right.
that will be
It's limited.
changed.
Yeah, it's limited.
Yes.
Yeah, down to Roger's rapier. Right. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, so we have that against Chan, and I've seen these players play before. I think Chan being ranked 16 probably means that maybe they didn't play as much because I believe they were ranked higher before. So
Right.
they've been in a couple of tournaments. So some of these may not be as meaningful as they are, but we have seen in the past that I basically every single tournament it was like ranked 1 through 4 has won every tournament. I think something like that. But so
Pretty close. Yeah.
it does mean something. But let's run through these a little bit quick here. maudcraeb versus Lithium. I don't know Lithium at all. I don't know if you can shed
Yeah,
some light.
they've been relatively active like recently, more so. I
Okay.
haven't had the pleasure of fighting them myself, but I'm very interested to see what they'll bring to the tournament overall. Yeah, it's good to see some new faces.
Yes. You always love that, especially with the new wild patch that we'll get
Yeah,
into a little bit later.
right.
One of, if not my favorite player of all time, Frosty. You're actually up there with one of my favorite players. Fun fact. I
Dude,
do
much
think you
love,
have
dude.
you have you're the best at jumping I've ever seen, by the way. No
Dude,
one else
thanks,
can
my
jump the
man.
way. I mean, Marco Vessels, he's up there as one of the best jumpers, but
Yep,
you're the best. I mean, so fluid.
thanks,
Either way,
man.
probably my favorite player, Ruth. I absolutely adore Ruth and what they bring. The absurd aggression I've seen with
I
Ruth has
know.
just it's really it's glorious. I apologize, Atlas. I don't really know who Atlas is, but I do love the aggression of Ruth. And with this new
Same.
patch, I mean, who knows what's gonna happen?
I
I don't know.
know.
This patch is crazy.
Fun fact, dude. Ruth actually in the warm-up tourney brought power stance to HTS into
Oh
it
wow,
last time. So really just leaning more into the wacky kind of setups, playstyle
yeah.
kind of thing, dude. And it's just awesome to see. And one thing I will say too, talking about Atlas here, he is a Kiba main. He is
Okay.
very, very much in love with the two-handed Kiba, dude. And
Two-handed
he
keeper is
excels
actually
at
really
it.
good.
It is,
But
dude.
as we'll notice later on, the spinning slash on Nagakiba is banned because it
It
is
is.
very powerful, and I actually do agree
Yes,
with that ban
I
personally.
agree.
So we have Yaws versus Cassius or Cassius. I
Nice.
think I've seen both of these players. Yaws definitely I've seen them.
Yes, yep. Yas has been competing quite a bit recently in a wide variety of tournaments, actually, and doing quite well, I will add.
Yes, yes. I
hmm
don't know who Vomit is.
That
Vomit versus
is,
Maxi.
yes.
Dark soap. Okay, a name change here. Come on, guys, get with it. Have a good SOE on everything. All right, the same name everywhere.
True.
Versus Smaxy. We got Bean versus Eli. We've seen Eli a bunch. Bean,
Dude, Bean is one of the best players that I have seen in Elden Ring, period. And
wow,
I might be biased, but I have not seen a player with that level of movement and strafing
okay.
like in a very long time, dude.
And
So I
you
am
can do this
very excited.
much more on PC than you can on console.
Right.
You have many more, I guess, pixels to be perfect on.
Yeah.
Got Witnake, as I call him, no mistake, Witnake. Witnake, I mean, no, nothing against Witnake, but I feel like Witnake has maybe dropped a little bit recently. Because it used to be like if Witnake was in a tournament, he basically wasn't gonna lose a match. And now we see a lot of people coming up and sort of, either taking over or taking control or sort of making things maybe uncomfortable to the point where we've seen Witnake, he dropped, I mean, the most recent tournament I saw him in. And
I
so,
will say,
he's
yeah,
still
like,
good, obviously.
right. Yeah, Witnake has been it's been really cool because a lot of the time, at least recently, and even stretching a little bit further back, he's been actually trying a lot of quirky setups out too,
I
which
like
is
that.
really cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have to broaden your horizons, otherwise you're gonna get stuck and you're gonna get left behind. I mean, we even in Dark Souls 3, we saw a couple players
Oh.
who we're gonna start the match in a second, but even in Dark Souls 3, we saw a couple players where they stuck with one weapon, like curved sword, and they got so proficient in that, but then they literally couldn't use anything else, and it was like, can you consider someone who only uses one thing forever one of the best players? I don't know. That's something to ask chat. And the last matchup will go what is that? DIMK Dimka versus Miasma. I know Miasma. I think I know both of these players, but either way, we're ready here for the first round match versus Space Ranger and Chan. We'll go over the rules after this one. I'm sorry we were a little bit long-winded, but Frosty's here. Let's be excited. Frosty comes. All right.
Yes, indeed.
All
All right.
right.
So we have Space Ranger on the left in the blue and wyupCHAN in the red here. Looks like we have Space on the Solurias.
Yeah, it's
A little bit of a Shamshir action, I think, coming out from the side of Chan here. But I'll pass it off to you, Dante. Start the countdown, my friend.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, fire! Now I am very interested because, well, all right. Do you think we'll see? Do you think we'll see an Ash of War on Space Ranger?
I genuinely hope so, dude. That the Soluria's Ash of War is not that bad, and it got massive buffs in the regard of hyper armor here. But we're definitely seeing both players trying to find their way in here. Space taking a little bit more of a reserved approach, but still having that little bit of offensive pressuring. Almost gets caught by the off-stock on the side of wyupCHAN there. And actually, I was mistaken. It is not a Shamshir.
Yeah.
Similar, similar in shape, but it's the Godskin Peeler, which we do love to see. It's very interesting to see a Twin Blade gets caught on the side of Space Ranger with a little bit of that off-stock yet again.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on the rules, because I thought S-stock was banned.
No, that is Rajar's rapier. So the limitations on thrusting sword were brought down a little bit. Continues to get caught there, but a little bit overzealous.
Oh, there's the spin.
Absolutely brutal from the side of wyupCHAN with that hyper armor on oh my word, and Space Ranger coming in with the vortex on this PSGS yet again. Absolutely dangerous. Both players resetting to neutral here. And we're definitely seeing a little bit more of an aggressive posturing coming out from the side of wyupCHAN, but does manage to get punished with the Solurias yet again. And the vortex.
Man.
Rounding it out there.
You see the Space Ranger, just the speed on the crouch attack with the, by the way, PSGSP, all right? You got to give some credit for Power Stance Greatswords. No one likes them, apparently. But, I mean, you see this crouch attack here. And now what was interesting is, again, I don't know a lot of the breakpoints of the hyper armor is, because I do know you get hyper armor with spinning slash, and he gets hit out of his spinning splash.
Yeah.
So I'm a little curious on how that even happened there.
Yeah, I agree. I think he attacked him a little bit before the hyper armor frames actually
Okay.
started up there.
Yeah, we'll see him here. He comes in, he tries to do it. He actually did a really cool he does a running attack, then he does spinning slash, and then he gets broken out there, which
Yeah.
I thought he would have enough hyper armor. Maybe he doesn't have enough poise, like passive poise. I don't know.
Potentially, or I'm yeah, maybe the hyper armor on spinning slash in particular doesn't tank the upper echelon of hit stuns
Yeah.
potentially.
Very curious. Either way, Space Ranger got the first victory, which was impressive because you saw at the end there, he got basically 3 crouch attacks that were just lightning
Yes.
fast.
Yep. The
And
vortex, man.
and I'm not sure. I think he was doing this. You let me know. Was he sort of unlocking and relocking on, sort of looking back and forward just to almost
Yeah,
hide it a
yep.
little bit?
The blending. Yep, he was definitely making use of the unlock blending there, to
Okay.
obscure the startup frames. Yes, but
All right,
looking
perfect.
forward into our next match here. Go ahead and start it down.
All
Dante.
right, start it up. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Boom.
Okay, of course. And we see both players, of course, going for their physics. No physic punish this time. We see a little bit of cheeky throwing darts coming out from the side of Space Ranger here. A little bit of a trade, but does manage to actually narrowly outspace the running R1 from the side of wyupCHAN into a crouching L1 there. Absolutely beautiful punish on the side of Space Ranger.
Oh,
Getting a little bit overzealous, but does manage to answer back with a crouching
this is
L1.
bleed though, right? For Chan? Chan's using
Yes,
bleed filter?
I do believe so here. Yes, and absolutely brutal.
my
And the
goodness.
panic roll a little bit coming out from the side of wyupCHAN and manages to get caught yet again. And the outspaces on the side of Space Ranger are so confident, showing no reason to be scared.
I mean, yeah, you know, again, we've seen this over and over and over. A lot of times when you get ahead, it's so tough to come back from that, especially if you have such different weapons. I mean, this is such a different setup. And if you're behind, I mean, these crouch attacks are just absolutely murdering Chan. And Chan's a good player, obviously. They're in the tournament.
Yeah.
And this Space Ranger made it look like easy work. But I will say in this instance, I do think it was a little bit of the difference of setups that made it look worse than it actually was.
Yeah, and one thing I will say too is I definitely want to commend wyupCHAN for taking in a unorthodox setup because that's near and dear to my own heart here, dude. I'm the off meta enjoyer, dude, and I love to see super creative builds and setups like this in particular, dude. So definitely big ups to wyupCHAN, dude. Very well done to Space Ranger for rounding it out.
I mean, it's no I guess beast jaw, you know. It's no, it's no getting what, third? What you got, third with beast jaw?
I believe so. Yes.
The nonsense. I'm like, wow, the cojones on this man and making it work. And you know what's messed up is people watch that and they're like, oh, I can do it too, and then they get absolutely obliterated. You're like, no, you gotta be special in order to utilize some of this stuff. But
dude.
yeah, I mean, Space Ranger. Honestly, Space Ranger just made, especially the second fight, made that look dirty. I mean, that was the thing. Was Space Ranger understood that I attack first, I win. If I attack in between attacks, I win. If I spam attacks, they don't have a way out because of the crouch attack is too fast versus what they have. And when you power stance them, do you get hyper armor through the first attack?
You do not, actually. Okay. Thank God for that, dude. Because that's the last thing PSGS needs.
Yeah, so that's what I was a little... So that must mean Space Ranger has at least above, what, 109 to tank one-handed...
Yes.
Thrusting sword. So
exactly.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was a little bit worried about was stuff like that, where I think Chan was used to being able to stun someone, get the roll catch with the spinning slash, and sort of get that combo in the bleed and so on and so forth. And all that was shut down with higher poise, with the speed of attack and the range. I mean, because you can't really jump against the crouch attack with those, right?
No, you get out of the air, right? Every time. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a really tough, tall order for Chan to try to get out of that one. But I love. Let's keep the matches rolling, but let's try to go through the rules quickly.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Doing it on the fly, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So first place we have $50, second place $25, and third place $10. All these people had to sort of qualify and rank up in the EU ERPVP leaderboard to get here. They had to qualify. And how many maps are there? Are there 3 maps?
There are 5, but there's
5
only
maps?
3 that are allowed out of the 5 in the tournament setting, right?
Okay.
Yep.
So the finals and bronze match will be best out of 7, so 4 wins. Semifinals will be best out of 3, or best out of 5, so 3 wins.
Yep.
I personally, and I was mentioning this before, I wish the bronze match either didn't exist or was many less matches because I just want to get to the super champions. Maybe that's just me. But, obviously, rune level 125. You are allowed to, because this is PC and the way they mod it, you are allowed to have the physic. Or I'm sorry,
Rune
the
arcs.
rune arc. There you go.
Yep.
The rune arc. So I'm assuming most people are probably going to be using the same rune arc. I'm guessing.
Morgoth's, the one that brings
Yeah.
you up from 21 to 2600. Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
the up. Yeah.
But hey,
All
we
right.
can notice the health up top, and we'll see if anyone's trying to be weird. Either way,
Yeah,
we're ready
true.
for maudcraeb and lithium
All
for
right.
the second match in round 1. Count us off.
All right, dude. On a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Let's go.
All right. So what do we got here? What we got? Spears, dual spears, the only ones that allowed in power space.
Yes, indeed.
The short spear, right?
Yep, a little bit of a cheeky sword dance coming out from the side of Lithium there, with
really
the two-handed
like
Shamshir here, and I do recall seeing Lithium's Shamshir now in the tourney not too long ago, and he was playing exceptionally well, dude, with his impeccable movement and spacing here. It's absolutely excellent. But of course, on the side of maudcraeb here, he definitely
nice spacing.
he definitely has the advantage on the breakaways and of course on the trades with those power stance short spears here. And we're definitely seeing a little bit more of an aggressive posturing coming out from the side of Lithium, and definitely trying to answer back when he can, going for those jumping R2s into the sword dance. Of course, sword dance exceptionally strong because of the hyper armor that it can get on startup. Beautiful roll catch coming out from the side of Lithium. A little bit of an answer back on the side of maudcraeb, though, does manage to actually get chipped with the sword dance yet again. That's something that Maud definitely needs to be aware of on the breakaways and on the aggression here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you see, I don't know if it's just our visuals. Flaming strike gets sort of a punish with it, but you see a little bit of, I don't know if it's latency or I don't know if it's just what we're seeing.
Right.
Some of the sword dance is kind of weird. And does sword dance get hyper armor on like frame 1 startup, or how early is it?
I believe it's around frame 6 or frame 8. It's definitely around there. Maybe it is lower. I'm not entirely familiar, but either way, it's very, very quick.
And both players are using Bullgoat, which is interesting, and Millicents. Bullgoat and Millicents, and they have the Blessed Dew. One more hit.
My word, the answer back with that hyper armor trade there. Of course, we're seeing the 8% damage reduction. A little bit of a Miyazaki run-in-place moment there on the side of Maud.
Nice jumping attack. Flaming strike double kill. Wow.
And the first double kill of the tournament, dude. Here we go.
I will
love
say
to see it.
Brilliant by Maud to do the jumping L1 sort of randomly to get that hit at the end. That was actually really smart. A lot of people, when they play, they sort of stick to what works and they don't ever do something different, and that's a mistake. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Try to do different attacks, do something else. Like you'll see soon when they get down basically 1 hit each, you'll see that goes for the jumping L1, which is, I would say, generally not the best thing because I don't think it has like any stun. But I
think it does break now on the first part of it. It made it a little bit better actually with this update, which is cool to see.
Well, they are wearing Bullgoat, so I don't know how much that
potentially
changes the passive.
Yeah, true. Yep. But go on.
So we see here and watch jumping, and right there, brilliant, because they were doing different jumping attacks every other time, and then they switched it up to the sort of delayed attack that was able to hit them at that close range, especially when you have the shortest. I believe it's the shortest spears, right? The only ones that are allowed here in this tournament. But.
Yep.
So no one gets a point, and we just get to see more action. Count us down.
Yes, indeed. All right, on a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Let's go. Okay, and
So
of course
we see nothing changing here.
Yeah, right. Not right straight out the gate here. But we do see a little bit more of an aggressive posturing coming out from the side of Lithium here. Goes immediately into the sword dance there, manages to tank the neutral L1 from the side of Maud. And both players definitely resetting neutral here. Actually goes for a trade. Very, very interesting. Of course, Maud definitely intimately familiar with his setup overall, knowing that he can definitely go for those running L1s, those neutral L1s, to just force the trade and win. Because as long as he isn't half hitting, as we just saw there, he definitely stays in the lead.
Nice jumping attack there. I like what Lithium's doing. Lithium's actually escaping a lot of attacks that I think would hit. Oh, nice Ash of War there. Well,
yeah.
maudcraeb is just attacking sort of out of everything, and Lithium is escaping, not really getting hit by a lot of this.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, Lithium's timing here seems to be absolutely impeccable on a lot, especially picking his moments in terms of when he's actually attacking. But we are seeing a little bit of a panic roll coming out from the side of Lithium, but answers back yet again with that sword dance. Absolutely brutal. I'm curious if we'll see a little bit of the strafing coming out from the side of Maud, because that is definitely sword dance's weakness. First and foremost is it has quite literally zero tracking up close on the strafe. So I'm curious if Maud will be able to actually answer back in that regard, but does get rounded out with the quick running R1 on the side of Lithium. And Lithium definitely played exceptionally there. Like, once again, his timing.
I really liked it. The timing on everything. I mean, one thing I'd actually like to see a little bit from Lithium, and I don't know if latency or something like that is playing a part in this. I would like to see a little bit more aggression. Right here, you'll see he could have just R1 there because he was getting chased down. Yes. And you're faster with the Shamshir, and you could kind of blend people down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So he could do like an R1 into an L2 to try to either get a roll catch or a combo potential there when they're getting chased down, because one of the best moves, if not the best move, is sort of the running attack of the short, well, any of the spears.
Right.
But so it's interesting. But I will say maudcraeb is getting killed by this hyper armor. They are, I mean, the L2 is just killing them.
Yeah.
And right there, I mean, you could just spam at the end if you're a Lithium just to get a trade.
Agreed. Yep. And that was very smart on the side of Lithium there. And once again, like, I definitely think there needs to be a paradigm shift in the regard of on the side of Maud in specific, because like I said, I really want to see some strafes on that sword dance, because that seems to be the main thing that's eating him alive, first and foremost.
Yes, yeah. Again, someone's saying in chat, latency is hyper armor is very rough to deal with. So again, I don't know what they're dealing with in the specific matchup, but we're gonna see. It looks like Maud is actually changing to oh, is he not changing? I can't see.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. We'll see here.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see in a minute.
Dude. Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. I thought he might have changed to the other Naga thing, but I don't think so. I think he's stuck with it.
Yeah, he did indeed. Okay, and we're definitely seeing the same coming out from both players here. Wow, beautiful jumping R2 on the side of Lithium yet again, and actually gets the corner pressure and manages to tank the hyper armor on Storm Stomp to be, or not Storm Stomp, Storm Assault rather, to be able to actually escape there. That was exceptional from the side of Lithium yet again. Little bit of an unfortunate
that looked like that was so bad that Lithium did.
It's unfortunate. But no worries as we move on. Seems to be golden now. And of course, we see a little bit more of an aggressive posturing coming out from the side of Creb, which is interesting considering how low he is on HP. He definitely knows he needs to answer back here to actually be able to win this one. But
the catch!
Manages to clip him again and goes for the Storm Assault yet again out of hit stun. I do not blame him in this regard, because it's so incredibly difficult to actually end the hard read on the running L1 push. Oh my word. Beautiful roll on the side of maudcraeb there. And Lithium definitely needs to be careful at the same time too here, because Maud is definitely absolutely brutal on the damage side of things with Red Feather here.
Yeah, this is really tough for Maud. I mean, even though, because the spears aren't that damaging anyway, but it's tough because what do you do every? Oh wow, I was shocked he didn't die there. Yeah, there it is. Tough because any little latency basically allows for trading to happen more
Yep,
often. You know what I
yep,
mean?
exactly.
So I don't know if you're Maud. I mean, the combo potential. I would have maybe tried to do a running attack in the Storm Assault, but you saw there. You know, this is something that we didn't get into that I wanted to get into. Brilliant jump, by the way. Perfect jump by Lithium.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
we didn't really get into it. Like I thought Storm Assault should be banned, but you saw there if you have enough poise, you're able to tank the first
Specifically
action of it.
hyper armor. Yes. Yep. If you combat the hyper armor with hyper armor, you're able to actually get out. Yep.
I thought we saw it before where he did an R1 and he tanked through it, but
He was doing the sword dance. I do
okay.
indeed believe there. Otherwise, he definitely would have gotten true comboed by it.
Okay,
Yes.
I
Yep.
see.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's one of those things where well, actually, I still think it should be banned then, because um,
Fair.
because you shouldn't need hyper armor, I don't think, for that combo. But either way, good job on Lithium to actually take the one. I will say, admittedly, I do think that matchup, at least, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think that matchup does favor the Shamshir. I think the Shamshir is actually extremely good.
Yeah,
It's better
especially
now.
in this update in particular, the fact that you have that guaranteed stun on that first R1 and the running R1s, everything,
Yeah.
now at your disposal, it makes dealing with a lot of those really, really, really strong setups, like in the previous patches, it actually allows these other setups to be able to deal with them more actively.
Yeah. I like the sword dance on it. I think the sword dance is brilliant. By the way, everyone thought maudcraeb was going to win. Lithium got it. So anyone who bet on Lithium to win,
Yeah.
congrats. Uh, so yeah, I mean, we can go through some of the some of the rest of the rules as quickly as we can. But
Yeah, for sure.
as we saw there, we have a bunch of people. Again, we're seeing different matchups, which I absolutely love. It's some of my favorite things. Not seeing the same damn power stand straight swords over and over and over. I love this that we're seeing other stuff.
Yeah,
Finally,
I agree,
finally.
dude. Yeah, that's something that I absolutely adore about this update in particular, man. The fact that other things are usable
Yeah.
and can be competitive in the right hands,
Yes. Yeah.
It's sick, dude.
It's so good. Like the sword dance, you would rarely see that, but now you're seeing it on Shamshir, and maybe I mean, hopefully we'll be able to see some Reapers or something. I still think
Dude.
Reapers are slept on. Personally, I think
Dude,
no one has
same,
given them
man.
enough practice. But
Yup.
I do. I don't know. Reapers are fun. They're
Yeah.
annoying also because you can just miss attacks for no reason. You're like,
Right.
okay,
Yep.
great.
The hitboxes and the tracking are less than ideal for sure.
But some of the other bands, obviously, there's most of the Crystal Tiers are banned throughout all of them. Crimson Crystal Tier. Again, I can't remember what the hell a lot of these are, but it's the Crystal Tiers that don't give you health, that don't give you super defense on specific affinities.
Hmm.
Also, ones that don't give you super poise. That's basically it. That's what we're trying to
Yes.
avoid. Is all of
Yep.
that stuff. Obviously, equipment load, you can't be 30% under light rolling. Icon shield, I believe that's for the healing, right?
Yes.
Um, Briar's armor, that's so you don't get that stupid deflection hit.
Yeah, the
And
aim
Royal
punch, dude.
Remains,
Yep.
yeah, the Royal Remains armor is for healing as well. Ashes of War blanket bans here. Bloodhound Step, obviously. Quick Step, I think, again, obviously,
Hmm.
you want people to get hit. You don't want a match to just divulge into everyone doing it over and over. No one gets hit. Royal Knight's Resolve, Determination, Endure is obvious because people can just tank anything, get out of it.
Yep.
Oh, the Vengeance, Last
Very
Rites,
similar. Yep.
Storm Stomp is obvious because of the
Hmm.
instant startup of the hyper armor, and then you get stun someone and so on, which is why I would put Storm Assault in there too, because that I actually think Storm Stomp is almost like I think that should almost not be banned versus a Storm Assault
Yeah.
only because you get the hits with Storm Assault, but again, you don't want these matches to divulge into I storm stomp, you storm stomp, back and
Yeah.
forth, so on and so on. So
I
I get
agree.
it.
Yes.
I get it. Now, Raptors of the Mist, why do you think that one is banned?
So it's kind of the same case as BHS and Quickstep, just because of the recovery cancel that is tied to them. So essentially, like for instance, if you take like an HTS jumping R1, right? It's one of the lowest recovery attacks in the game. I believe it's like 6 frames of recovery, which is incredibly low.
Yeah.
Like if you combine that with BHS, Quickstep, or Raptors, all respectively, it brings it down to 3. Right? So
That is crazy.
it makes it even lower. That's the primary purpose for banning Raptors in particular, because Raptors
so why
obviously,
not ban it on that weapon then? And that's
I
it.
agree, but it does it to so many things
Okay.
that it becomes increasingly more problematic with latency as well, right?
I see.
So those are the 2 primary things as to why it is banned. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna get back through these rules. We only have a couple left anyway, just to talk about the updates and all this stuff. But right now we're gonna go to the slorpy, sloppy ad break that no one wants. Let's get it over with. We'll be back. All right, we are back, and we are going right into it. We have Ruth, a fan favorite, maybe my fan favorite, versus Atlas. I don't know Atlas that well at all, but maybe you could tell us what weapons they're using and start us off.
Okay, here we go. Looks like we have Atlas on, just as I predicted, the 2-handed Kiba against Ruth on the Shunter, which they definitely excel at here. Okay, and without further ado, here we go with the countdown. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
All right, so what do you think after patch the Shunter, good or bad, happened to it?
It got massively buffed in my opinion because of the hyper armor and the fact that you can keep resetting the hyper armor frames with the crouching R1 over and over again. But oh my word, and beautiful timing on the side of Atlas to be able to get out the unsheath to trade with that neutral, or that crouching R1 rather, and into the cold proc. Absolutely brutal. And Atlas definitely in a significant lead here on the matchup against Ruth. And Ruth going, of course, for another cheeky little frostpot. But we see, man, Atlas with those jumps, dude, absolutely incredible. And actually exceptional rolls coming out from the side of Atlas here, and making it incredibly difficult for Ruth to actually get the vortex, but Ruth is able to actually set it up a little bit
scary,
here.
Man.
Very, very cheeky, dude.
Oh, nice jump. Oh, and the unsheath R1.
Oh my word, and into the neutral R1s yet again.
This is close. But the Frost! The
Atlas
Frost did it!
learned from the previous Vortex attempt that Ruth has a pattern there and does wait for the roll catch on after the second hit there, and just mashes out of the hit stun for the confirm on the reset of the cold proc. Absolutely incredible play on the side of Atlas here.
I mean, I don't know, like, I couldn't obviously see what Ruth was doing, like how their screen was and how high the frost buildup was, but that was like, it was kind of lucky for Atlas that reset, and unlucky for Ruth, because if the frost didn't proc, Ruth was going to tank the hit, hit them, have the priority in the next attack. And then, you know, who knows? I mean, Ruth could have won that. So it's crazy the way, right there, the spam, and then I think we have a little bit of blending, and then boom, frost. Wow.
And it just wore off, dude. Like that's insane to have the reset that quickly afterward. Very smart play coming out from the side of Atlas there.
Yeah, I want to see. I think we're going to see more aggression from Ruth, but either way, count us down. Atlas is up 1-0.
Yes, indeed. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it on.
That is crazy. I wonder if Ruth is going to try to combat some of the frost situation a little bit on this one.
Yeah, and what's very interesting too is that Ruth does have exceptionally high robustness here, even running the robustness shield along with full Lionels, which is one of the armor sets that gives the maximum amount of robustness. But Yep, as you predicted, Ruth is getting a little bit more aggressive here, and on the breakaway, we do see a little bit of a bolus punish on
That
the side
actually,
of Atlas.
in a weird way, that actually helps Ruth because then the hyper armor will still go through even if because there's no frost proc now.
Agreed. Yes. And once again, seeing that aggression on the side of Ruth here is definitely what we need to see. Beautiful neutral jump on the side of Atlas here, but unfortunately does get answered back with the rolling R1 into the Qatar swap. Very interesting to try and finish out Atlas here.
And
narrowly outspaces the Unsheath R1 and punishes with the running R1 of the Qatars. Very exceptional play from the side of Ruth there, and manages to actually shake it up significantly there. That's very, very, very well done to be able to adapt on the fly like that. And that's one of the things when you're watching this top level of play, that's exceptional for a player to have that ability to be able to completely shake up and adapt and shut down their opponent.
Yeah, the jumping attacks was really working for Atlas. I will say Atlas is showing a pattern here, which is a problem. So they go for like an attack and then they go for the unsheath. So I think they go for attack here and then the unsheath and gets punished for it right before they can get hit, which means they must have a good connection because that should have been a trade. But
100%.
So you see a pattern there, and I will say, as far as how Atlas is playing, it doesn't work well with the hyper armor sort of what Ruth has here of the shunter, because Ruth can almost freely, except for save for some of the jumps, can basically freely attack and not be punished.
Yeah,
and I think
agreed.
Atlas needs to somehow get around that, maybe attack once, sort of run back, try to see a punish or something, not do the same stuff over and over. But we shall see in this rubber match, the third and final match of Ruth versus Atlas. Count us down.
Here we go, dude. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh, and we see an actual cheeky frostpot coming out from the side of Ruth for the physic punish there too, and it did indeed work here. And Atlas definitely needs to, once again, he needs to be very careful on when he's picking these moments to attack here. Yep, and absolutely, and the Vortex just coming in strong here. Beautifully so. Almost gets, actually, the running R2 there. Able to shut it down a little bit with that rolling R1, catching in between the Hyper Armor startup frames on the side of Ruth there. Very, very interesting. And that plays into exactly what we were saying, too, in the pregame lobby. Like, this is what Atlas needs, is that impeccable timing here. And actually manages to land the Unsheath R2. Indeed.
It's tough because you can't really pressure with Atlas as much as you would like to because of the hyper armor issue here. But if you can hit first, you can stun. Nice jump. Wow, they got a trade there.
Beautiful trade on the side of Atlas. They're able to tank it and round it out within the red and blue feather range. And Atlas is, of course, playing very, very safe here. One more hit to round it out, but
Qatars? Oh, the Qatars.
Yes, and the swap over to Qatars is very, very dangerous.
I like that Atlas there. That actually was nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, for Atlas to go for the attack there at the end, I do think was a mistake, but that's tough. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how you round that out against, sort of fast claw weapons like that.
Yeah.
I guess do you have to pre-attack? You pre-attack and hopefully that stuns them out, or I'm not really sure.
I mean, you really have to catch it on the breakaways after. Like, you have to. I genuinely feel like if your opponent does swap to something quick like that to just get the match over with, then you really need to play exceptionally passive. You need to rely on that regen so you're able to tank one of those smaller hits with Blue Feather. And honestly, a lot of times, and I'll see this a lot too, like especially when one opponent is low on HP and they're in that red-blue feather range and they have enough HP to actually tank one hit, they can be exceptionally aggressive to combat that over-aggression from the aggressor trying to actually secure the kill in a lot of scenarios.
Like maybe strafing to only get one hit and then sort of attacking into that, something like that.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know how. I don't know how much damage that does. I know blue feather is crazy, but I
Yes, it
think
is.
what they have like 50, 60 health left. I don't know, but either way, Ruth gets the victory.
Yep,
It was close. I mean, Atlas
it
almost came
was.
back at the end. It's funny because Atlas actually did the same exact combos they were doing with the unsheath after the R1 to get the roll catch and the frost proc and all that stuff,
Hmm.
and it almost worked. They almost came back. But Ruth goes on. Atlas,
Yep.
we
Yeah, and
you saw Atlas take a victory, so
I do want to say too, I think it was exceptionally smart for Atlas to go for the status pressure on in that matchup
yeah,
in
yes,
particular, because that quite literally got him a round win, you know? Like the
yep,
value of status overall, especially cold, cannot be understated. Like it's absolutely incredible, especially when you're on a super aggressive setup like two-handed Kiba can be. You know, it's
yep,
great supplementally. And I do want to commend both players for their exceptional play there. What a match. Very well
yeah. But
done.
and again, we are seeing might be one of the most diverse tournaments I've seen already so far, and we're only
Yeah,
three
I,
matches in.
I
I mean,
completely
everyone's had a
agree.
different thing. Everyone's
Yeah.
had something different. So, I mean, let's keep it going. I hope we don't see a mirror match in the finals and something just takes over somehow. But wow, it's crazy. Like I this is a lot of fun seeing just different stuff. But this also does show you that you can still be like, let's say you have evenly matched players. You see some weapons or setups are just better than others, right? I mean,
Yeah, of
some
course.
of them it just seems like, man, how do you get out of this?
Yep.
Shamshir though, I do expect Shamshir to be powerful. We'll see though.
I
But we do
agree.
actually see another shunter here, it looks like,
Yup.
on Yaz's side. But Cassius has sort of the Hal thrust. I can't call it Hal stock because they don't. S stock's not allowed. I don't know what
Right.
that is, but
Yep.
yeah, Yaz versus Cassius. Count us down.
All right, here we go. Three, two, one. Let's do it. Okay. Oh, we actually see a little bit of a cheeky start with the glintstone scraps there. Very, very interesting, but Cassius was able to actually still get the physic off there. Both players definitely trying to find their way in. We see a little bit of a startup of aggression on the side of Yas here. And one thing I do want to mention is that Yas's aggression with Shunter, his Shunter play overall is absolutely incredible. And it's been on display throughout multiple tournaments here. And we see Yas making beautiful usage of the newly acquired absurd levels of hyper armor here to just be able to absolutely thwart the typically incredible pressure that people are able to dish out with the offstock here. But man, Cassius is really just struggling to find his way in against this
Yeah.
here.
See, I'm curious here now. If you R1, oh, Flaming Strike. Can you R1? Does the Shunter have too much hyper armor for an R1 of the halberd? One-handed.
Yeah, it's able to tank even the halberd R1, yes.
Yeah,
And the
that's
running R1.
brutal.
Yep.
I don't know what Cassius does here because the Flaming Strike is not doing it. Again, you're seeing a situation where Yaz is just able to basically freely attack and they're safe
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter. If they are ahead in life, they can just
Yep.
do that without
Exactly.
worry. And
Yep.
that's oh,
Ooh, incredible strafe
brilliant.
and read
I
on
w-
the side of Yas, though, but
I
unfortunately it
really
does
do
not
want to
connect.
see. Oh no. Ooh. Nice R1, but again, you see that right there. Oh, I thought he was dead. And the glintstone, what is it, scraps?
Yep.
And there it is. Yeah, I mean, brutal aggression. But you see with the hyper armor, with that, how hard it is to deal with it if you can't break them. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
do it now? I mean, I don't know how good Yaz is with if somebody jump attacks. I don't think we even saw a single jump in this whole match.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
it's but there we go, one
Well,
jump. But
yeah. On the great tier in particular, the jumping R1s are absolutely exceptional. Yeah.
so that's what I don't know what you do as Cassius because I think they were relying on stun here, but so much hyper armor is happening because Yaz is constantly attacking. I
Yeah.
also would like to see Cassius throw out running R2s A lot of people don't use it, but running R2 is actually pretty good, especially with someone like Yaz who is strafing.
Yes, I
So they
completely
might try
agree.
to strafe and go for the backstab like they tried before.
Yep.
And running R2 will definitely work against
I
that.
agree. And not only that too, but the crouching R1 on one-handed halberd is very
That's
similar
true.
to the running R2
Yeah.
as well, which also did receive speed increases in patch 1.09. It was one of the many undocumented changes in that in
Oh, interesting.
particular. But it's always interesting to me to see Hallstock players not make use of that crouching R1 because it's absolutely incredible. But I
Yeah,
think going forward, I think what Cassius needs to do is potentially two-hand the halberd, because two-handed halberd does have the absurd levels of hyper armor too, and if you're
okay.
both trading into each other with those counter hits, who knows who could come out ahead there too, you know?
Yeah,
And then you have
who's got
the
the
oh, go on.
damage? I was just gonna say who has the damage advantage there. So two-handed with the lightning buff versus the two-handed shunter. Who's got the damage?
I think it's very similar, honestly, genuinely. But of course, the shunter with the pure physical AR, it's going to benefit more from counter hits in particular. But also another thing that Cassius could potentially do as well is if you are two-handing your halberd, you gain access to that absolutely brutal true combo with the jumping R2 into neutral R1, which can do upwards of
Okay.
over 1,000 damage here too.
Oof.
So Cassius does have a lot of different options here. It'll be interesting to see what he does in particular. If we'll see like a setup change in general, or if he'll mix it up.
Yeah, I would say I would recommend Ash of War change at least, because
Yeah.
Flaming Strike was not working for them. Because again, it's the hyper armor, it's just plowing through everything. If
Yes.
Yaz is constantly attacking, what do? You basically have to stick and move. You can't stay as close as you want to, because then you'll get blended and so on. But we'll see if Cassius can actually change the way they play and try to make this go into a third match. Count us down.
Yes. 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. And I want to point this out too. We see a little bit of a map change here,
Yes.
which the losing player is always offered a map change potentiality. So looks like Cassius did end up going with the bigger map here, which potentially could give him a lot more room to actually shut down and outspace what Yas is able to do here, because we definitely saw Yas doing a lot of corner pressuring in particular with that aggressive posturing yet again. Beautiful off-stock play, but does get caught by the neutral R1 there, unfortunately, on the side of Yas. But a little bit of an answer back on the side of Cassius here. Not bad at all.
Ooh, I didn't think that was going to hit. I would like to see Cassius actually try to get a hit with the thrusting sword and then go for a flaming strike combo, because then that should stun at that point after the reduction.
Yeah, and then you have the potentiality of getting the Flame Strike True combo with the roll catch on it. But we're seeing a lot of trading here in particular, and that's definitely what Cassius needs to do.
I want to see it. I want to see the combo. I want to see the comeback. I want to just go to third match. Ooh, nice. Cassius doing much better job sticking and moving here. Actually winning on health, I believe, unless the tears is popped. I can't tell.
The tears is indeed popped on the side of Cassius there, and it is not on the side of Yas. But I will say, Cassius is definitely playing a little bit more of a reserved game here. He's definitely picking his moments a lot more wisely this time around to actually get in and out safely without taking that massive crouch poke by the shunter.
Yeah, it's tough too, because if Yaz just times a running attack into him, I mean, they still get more damage. But now it's getting tricky, because now they're at the same exact health, basically. So
exactly. So, and that's exceptional play from the side of both players here to be able to actually round this out in such a way that it's seeming to be equal, especially after how dominant the first round was in Yas's favor.
Yeah, it's tough. Cassius is playing much better, not going for a secondary attack, knowing that hyper armor is going to brutalize. Cassius is about one hit away, maybe one running hit.
Looks like Yas is in particular. And the off-stock there, of course, coming in. Very, very dangerous. I'm not sure if that's the play, though, especially because Yas is in blue feather range.
Oh,
very
panics.
Dangerous. He'll be able to tank probably around 3 or at least 2 off-stock hits from the side of Cassius in particular.
Talisman swaps here.
Beautiful spacing on the side of Yas here, playing super reserved, super passive, waiting for his moment, picking his time, making genuine use of the Blessed Dew. But Cassius actually is able to bring it back and played exceptionally well throughout that entire set there.
Wow. That was impressive. You know, it's funny because like when you, at least when I'm watching the match, like I don't know, like some of these hits, especially because people are tanking with the hyper armor, you don't notice like the damage like accumulating.
Right.
I have to look up top and be like, oh, their health is lower. And you saw that with Yaz. Like Yaz was just getting chipped down just little by little, over and over and over throughout the whole match, and then eventually Cassius just wins.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Brilliant right here. Like look at the spacing at the end. Spacing the jumping attack is so scary at the end here. It's insane.
It genuinely is, because the amount of like quote unquote phantom range that attack in particular can have just because of the forward momentum, it's absolutely insane. And the confidence to be able to outspace that, and to just like Cassius must have known that that was his only option, because that was most certainly a hard read there. That was exceptional.
Yeah, it looked like he spaced it and strafed it like a little bit. It might have been a slight error on Yaz's side for maybe not turning the weapon a little bit, but again, that's tough. It's tough on both sides, but man,
agreed. Yep.
Whew,
no, like
spacing.
what a turnaround, man, too. Just to be able to once again adapt on the fly on the side of Cassius, to be absolutely just like brutalized in the first match, and then to come back and actually give Yas a run for his money and be like, I am not, this match is most certainly not over yet, right? And I absolutely love to see that, whether it was more calculated timing on the side of I'm blanking out. I'm sorry. I forgot the name. More calculated on the side of Cassius. Okay. Yep. More calculated timing on the side of Cassius in particular, or it was the map change too, because that's something that was huge in that matchup in particular.
Well, that's weird because the shape and size isn't like too different. So maybe he just needed that dark blue to energize him or something. I don't know. Like I don't know what the deal was.
Be too. But no, the diamond is significantly larger than this map in particular. And it looks like
really?
we saw Yas actually pick the seaside again to bring it back to the corner pressure. Okay.
Yeah, and which makes sense. But we do see a weapon change here, which is fascinating. I often don't agree with weapon changes, especially if you're doing well. That was a close match, but because for me at least, it's you have sort of the experience and you're using a weapon, and I don't know. But what do you think about that? You think he should be changing his weapon, or?
I think it's interesting seeing CGS off dagger in particular, because that is another setup that Yas definitely excels with. But without further ado, we will hop right into it here. Go ahead and count it down, my man.
Let's do it. Yas versus Cassius, 3, 2, 1, fire away. Yeah, Yas coming out here with the curved great sword. I'm assuming this is a bleed build. That's the whole point of it. Oh no, it's actually a
CGS off thrusting sword. Okay, interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so we saw a little bit of a breakaway punish on the startup there with a frostpot on the side of Yas, and unfortunately Cassius was able to bolus for free there, but still the damage was there nonetheless. And we're definitely seeing an incredibly aggressive posturing coming out from the side of Yas here. Just so much more confident in his movement and overall spacing here. A little bit of an anime moment there where both players miss, but beautiful running R1 on the side of Yas.
Yeah, this is interesting. I actually, even though Yas is winning right now, I actually think this is a worse matchup. I mean, I could be wrong here. Yas is obviously doing some combos here. Oh, the hyper armor right through the R1 there. See, I wasn't sure how well that is.
Real. Yeah, man. Wow.
Flaming strike combo. That's it.
Wow.
The smaller arena with the flaming strike combo. Did he show flaming strike at all the whole match, or was that the first time?
I think that was the first time.
Yeah,
And I
that's a
don't know if
big
that was a
deal.
tier skip too. I'm not entirely sure. Of course, we'll get to see it here in the replay, but oh my word, what a dominant round.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I mean, maybe, this is interesting because maybe that switching up the weapons worked in favor of Yaz so much because Cassius was used to the other
Yeah,
play style.
I
And
agree.
then this sort of more combo oriented approach kind of, threw Cassius off.
Yeah,
And
I think that very well could be, dude. There's
like this
definitely something
R2,
to that. Yeah, the roll catch with the neutral R2. Beautiful answer back on the side of Cassius though, but just
that
shut
hyper armor
down at
startup
every
is
turn.
crazy.
And I believe this does indeed look like a oh no, the tier popped
That
right
was the
there with that
tier, and
trade.
then
And then
boom.
just skipped
Yeah, and you see,
beyond.
like, Yaz, probably more than anyone else so far in this tournament, they were utilizing the arena itself,
Yes.
which I always tell people you got to do that. Spacing obviously matters, but spacing with your surroundings
Yeah.
can matter even more right here. I mean,
Yep.
because in an open field, you're not getting hit by the flaming strike. You're not getting hit by the
Right.
follow up. That
Yeah.
R2, for the most part, unless you're right next to someone, you don't usually get hit by the R2. But
Right.
because you have to sort of a lot of times roll diagonally somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else and not straight back, you're getting
Yep.
hit by things you wouldn't normally get hit by. So
Exactly, man.
utilize the arena, people,
Yep.
just like Yaz did, and Yaz got the win 2-1 against Cassius. Cassius showed some grit though, coming back after the first loss and bringing it back. So good on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Truly exceptional play from the side of both players there. And one thing I do want to say in particular with Cassius was that second match. That second match, man, was absolutely incredible to be able to come back. But without
Yes.
further ado, and just like Dante said before, the unfortunate ad break is indeed back, my friends.
This
So,
feels so soon. I swear we just did.
yeah, right. We will see you guys very, very soon.
All right, we are back after that abomination of 30 seconds. But we are back. Still round one, best 2 out of 3. Vomit versus Smaxy or Dark Soap,
Yep.
whatever you want to say. You can look at the challenge yourself. I'll put it in chat right now. But either way, count us down for this. Let us
All
know what they're
right.
using and so on and so forth.
Yes, indeed. Looks like we have power stance straight swords potentially, from what I can see, on the side of Dark Soap, or his more recently named Vomit. And on the side of Smaxy, we have the Hallstock, dude, as is tradition. So,
Yes.
without further ado, here is the countdown, my friends. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it on.
I'm interested in the dual straight swords because ever since this new patch, I've seen very few now. So I actually don't know what really has changed with dual straight swords. I don't know if they're better, worse, same, whatever.
Yeah, they're better, I would say. They're better and worse in certain aspects, right? Because you can actually make use of the neutral R1s, and specifically the crouching R1, which is incredibly fast, incredibly
Yeah.
good for chase down. So the setup became a little bit more diverse overall, which I think is cool, instead of just, oh, L1 is the be-all end-all, right? But
Yeah.
no, we definitely see beautiful usage of Loretta's slash. Oh, but answered back with hyper armor of his own on the side of Dark Soap with the sword dance on the straight sword there.
I was
Absolutely
not expecting
incredible.
either of that. That was blowing my mind. They both showed their Ash of Wars that were hidden. We didn't know what they had, and that was awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you see the stun of the halberd is. How did he survive that after the frost
word? Yeah, looks like the frost proc there was able to and catches him on the breakaway out of hit stun of the L1.
Wait, can we check? Is this S-Stock? How did he get that range? What the? What is that? Let's check that weapon. That was crazy. We'll see it again, but that. Are we sure that's not? That was insane range.
Looks like
right here.
That is Rajer's.
Cool, man.
Yeah, dude, the use of Loretta's with that frame 1 hyper armor.
Sword dance.
Yeah, the answer back with the sword dance too on the side of Dark Soap there. But my word, dude, the overwhelming sense of aggression coming out from the side of Smaxy here. And this is very interesting too, because I haven't really got to see Smaxy play too much. So just coming out straight out the gate, dude, swinging. Exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool because what was cool about this is this wasn't your super spacing magical game. Let's see the
No.
range here. Hold on. Wait, where is it? Oh, I think it's right here on the next roll.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
did
know, man.
not-
I don't know.
that's latency at play there, dude.
Jeez. But
Oh
yeah, I mean, we
boy.
didn't see anything super crazy, like no super spacing. Like it was just
Right.
they were in the mix. They pressed L2 and then things
Mm-hmm.
happen. You know what I
Yeah, indeed, dude. Okay, so moving into the next match here, I'm very interested to see what how Dark Soap is going to adapt to this overwhelming sense of aggression here. If he's going to be more L1 happy to potentially shut that down, and how Smaxy will deal with it as a result here. But go ahead and count it down, my friend.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. So I will say right now, what I'm seeing is the stun and the priority losing of Dark Soap is messing them up on the sort of flow of the way they want to, combat in this match.
Yeah.
Once they get stunned by the halberd or even the thrusting sword, but the halberd. Oh, what the? Oh man, that was really cool.
Usage of the Phantom Slash there. Oh my word, unbelievable,
Wow.
dude.
Phantom
Which I will
Slash
say,
is fascinating because
yeah,
you
Phantom
get
Slash
hyper armor.
actually, yeah, dude, right, yeah, you got it. Go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say you get hyper armor and you can actually spin it behind you and still have the Phantom go forward and be safe.
Right, exactly.
So it's really weird, but no one ever uses it. So
yeah, true.
a little bit.
And I was very
there,
smart with the turnaround, the unlocked turnaround, knowing that Smaxy was going to miss the Loretta's to not get whiff punished there, to turn it around there was absolutely beautiful. But we're definitely seeing, once again, Dark Soap is definitely more warmed up, more accustomed to what he definitely wants to go for in relation to his opponent in particular here. We're definitely seeing that Dark Soap movement coming out yet again, but the Frost proc does actually land here.
Oh, there he is. He's
Smaxy gives him,
tell.
Yep.
Ash of War soon. Ash of War coming. Come on. What does he got? What does he got? What's the 9th Ash of War he's going to use? I want to see it.
Yeah, true, dude. But yeah, no, we definitely... Oh.
Killed him.
This perfect strafe on the side of Dark Soap there was absolutely exceptional and able to round it out with the L1 and the L1 follow-up respectively. That was a very, very confident second round on the side of Dark Soap there.
Yeah, I mean, that was fun. I mean, and it wasn't even like Smaxy got hit too much, obviously. I mean, that's how you die. But like, he got hit too much a little bit too early trying to set up some of these switches of Ash of Wars. But I love it. Like the switching and the swapping here, I think is actually really cool, and I think it can work in a match like this.
Yeah,
and I like the way that they're pressing forward. I like most of the things I like that they're doing. Obviously, Dark Soap, he played well getting out of range on some of the attacks. Some of the running attacks, strafing them, getting away and not panicking when a different Ash of War comes out, sort of trying to sight read for a second. He gets the kill right at the end. I don't know how much damage that Ash of War would have did there, the Loretta slash, but it was close.
Right.
It was,
yep. And if I recall correctly, it was Dark Soap was still colded there, if I'm not mistaken. And that would have been
frosted.
Dude, I'm avoiding it at all costs. You have no idea how difficult this is, dude. But no, that would have definitely done almost 1,000 damage there if that would have landed, though. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this next match is going to shape up here, how each player is going to adapt now that Smaxy knows how Dark Soap is able to utilize that offensive pressuring.
Yeah, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I mean, it's 1-1 Smaxy, Dark Soap. I mean, I love seeing different Ash of Wars. I love seeing what they can bring to the table. And and I know you know this, Frosty, but a lot of people might not know, like, with a lot of these, like Loretta slash, you can sort of pivot and get an early hit, or even if you know someone panic rolls quick, you can get a late hit and actually roll catch on it.
Exactly.
So, it's something you could look at when you're using some of these Ash of Wars, is to try to pivot it and maybe get different timings of hits.
Yes, exactly, dude. I completely agree with that. And yeah, that's something that I really want to commend on the side of Smaxy too, is just the hard swapping and the mix-ups there, you know? Oh, beautiful answer back on the side of Smaxy there, and actually answering back on a lot of the overwhelming aggression that Dark Soap is putting out in particular. But Dark Soap with the neutral L1 jumping.
Oh, there it is.
But
Is that it?
It's to round it out with the
Smaxy
Loretta
wins.
slash. Unbelievable. Taking the match against
That's
Dark
what I'm
Soap.
talking about, man. That is what I'm talking about. Exactly what would change. So if we look at this is ranked 2 person, by the way, Dark Soap. Dark Soap is a top contender. And Dark Soap lost because the new update, essentially. The new update and everything sort of just being slightly different, and the Ash of War and the Hyper Armor coming out doing massive damage. Brilliant by Smaxy. I like Smaxy's balls to the wall style, going in your face, being like, hey, I can do an Ash of War. I can do a lot of damage too, even if I'm getting hit a lot. I'm doing it right here. We see it just, it falls apart, and Smaxy just goes in and constantly attacks. Boom, right here. Oh my goodness.
Was that a tier skip too? I was not.
See, is tier skipping is it a percentage of your health, or is it below a certain amount?
Yeah, so like the tier in particular will kick in at 21% of your maximum HP, right?
Okay,
so if you go anywhere below that,
yeah, they're at like 480.
Okay, so it was probably procced at that point then already. So
yeah,
no tier skip. that would have felt exceptionally bad.
I mean, 5 times 4, 2. I mean, I don't know. It might have been a tier skip. It might have been just barely.
Potentially, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's tough to say, but my word, dude, that was just crazy mix-ups and just so much adaptation there from both players. Yet again, and that's definitely been my favorite match thus far. That was very cool.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know if it was. I don't think Smaxy really did any adaptation. I think Smaxy was playing the way they always played. And they just go in and they're like, you know what? I'm going to press L2 when I feel comfortable, because this is usually how players play.
Yep.
It's like, because you press L1 if you have dual straight swords. That's what you do. You just do that in someone's face.
Yep.
So you press that, you hyper armor, tank the first hit, you have blue feather, hit them out of it because they don't have hyper armor. You do that, you get the last hit, you get the victory through that massive damage. I mean, wow. What's the stat line you need to get maximum damage off of Loretta's slash?
Maximum damage? I mean, it's definitely best on colds, or just pure int rather, And obviously the way he was utilizing it while using a cold halberd in particular, that's only going to make it even stronger, right? Especially because you're trading against your opponent when you use that on startup too. So that's going to give you even more of an advantage with the trade in particular, because of the 20% damage advantage that you have against your opponent as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, someone in chat saying it would have tanked and traded all the same last patch. Is that
exactly
true?
Yep. Yes.
So I thought you get more hyper armor based on the passive poise you have. That wouldn't change that at all with the 2 straight swords?
It wouldn't have changed that particular interaction, but Loretta's, yes, I believe it does. It did get buffed in relation to all of the other hyper armor. Same as all of the other hyper armor did, rather.
Gotcha.
But this interaction in particular, where he was able to tank the power stance straight sword L1 and L1 follow-up, that was always the case.
Yeah, because some of the numbers get a little, like, if he got hit before, which he did, and then did the slash, does that reset the hyper armor poise situation the whole time, or would that be different? Sometimes I get a little confused on that specific aspect.
Yeah, it's a very jank system for sure. So I don't blame you there, dude. But looks like we do have our next match. Ooh, dude. And this is the match I've been most excited for. Being against Eli here. And it looks like we have power stanced Kibas, potentially, or power stanced Moonveils. I'm not sure exactly what that is.
It looks like Moonveils. They're too short.
Against Power Stance Solurias, which is the second time we've seen the Solurias as well. Maybe we
Yeah.
will get to see that Ash of War after all, dude.
Oh, please, just do. I don't even care. Just do it. If you're winning, if you're losing, just do it.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, you're right in the beginning is the time it makes most sense, right?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, dude, so without further ado, we will start the countdown here.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, fire away.
Okay,
Bean on the left,
both?
Eli on the right.
Yes, indeed. And we see both players going for their physics straight out the gate. No physic punish yet. Potentially, we will see that later on in the set here. We see a little bit of a try for a read happening from the side of Eli here. And of course, yeah, they are actually Power Stance Kibas here, which is very interesting to see Bean on. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think I've ever seen him on them in particular, but he is getting caught over and over again with these absolutely brutal crouching attacks here, but does manage to land a crouching L1 of his own on the side of Bean here. Absolutely exceptional. But both players definitely playing very reserved here, respecting the amount of damage that each player is able to dish out at a moment's notice, and a little bit of an anti-air action there too. Brutal.
Did we? Oh, there we go. Sword dance again. Yeah, I wanted to see sword dance with the Millicent and the Rotten Wing. No, it's Rotten Wing actually only on Bean's side. Yes. And oh man, but tears are procced already. Eli is doing some just constant damage here. A different attack, which I appreciate.
True. Beautiful space punish on the
Yes.
side of Eli. My word. And the offensive.
Oh, they're banned.
posture.
Ban them. You guys are supposed to take that off before the tournament. It's in the rules. They lost anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, you're supposed to take all of those PC specific extra things or whatever off. But yeah, I mean, we saw here
Gotcha.
Initially it was fairly even. They were trying to feel each other out, but then Eli got ahead. I think a little bit of mistake on Bean for not going first a lot of times.
Yeah.
They seemed like they were kind of waiting a little bit too long, I thought.
I agree, and that's one thing especially that I personally had to learn the hard way against PSGS many times, is that if you just attack when they're close to you, that's the best option that you always have against it, especially when you're on a low recovery weapon such as Kiba that's actually decently fast as well. You can actually shut down a lot of that offensive pressuring that PSGS players are able to dish out a lot of the time.
Yeah. And we'll see if they'll do it. Bean is down 1, Eli's up 1. Let's count it down.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Action.
Yeah, so as you were saying before, you don't get the hyper armor on the Power Stance Great Spears here.
Yep.
So attacking first, I think, is paramount, honestly, because especially if you're going to stun, and I believe I don't know what the stun is for crouch L1 with the Nagkibas, but I believe straight sword. What the? Is that a left hand straight sword? My mind is blown right now. I don't understand.
Very interesting swap on the side of Bean here. I wonder if he will potentially go back to. Oh, he's
maybe they thought they
straight swords here, but he's trapped in the corner here. Absolutely brutal. Tries to catch with the backswing, but does manage to get answered back. And of course, Bean being in red and blue feather range here, he will potentially be able to tank at least one PSGS hit, crouching L1, as long as it is not a counter hit here. And we'll see if Bean is able to answer back. And just like I predicted, on 69 HP, but does get anti-aired with the neutral R1. The overwhelming sense of pressure with PSGS and Eli in particular, as a player being so comfortable and so familiar with the Vortex setups in particular, was definitely on display there.
Here's what I think happened, and I could be wrong. I think Bean thought they switched to Power Stance Straight Sword, and they wanted to do maybe the Ash of War or something, hitting the L2 there.
Yeah, potentially.
I'm not sure, or maybe that, I don't know. I don't know what the deal was. They screwed up. They went behind, and I always tell people, if someone makes a mistake or if they get stuck in a corner or they're in their menu, attack them. This is a tournament, right?
Yep.
This is for money. You
See, and
go in, you attack them. This is not.
yeah,
There's no love in this sort of warfare situation.
yeah, fair enough. And one thing I do want to say too that I think was definitely a factor here is I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, and anyone who's watching, but I do believe that this is Bean's first tournament as well.
Is
So
it
the tourney nerves could have played a
interesting?
significant factor there as well. And I know that feeling personally too. It's very, very brutal, man.
Yeah, it's that is interesting because you look at the rankings on the challenge as anybody can,
Yep.
and Bean is actually ranked higher than Eli, but Eli got the victory here, and we're
Mhm.
already seeing it already. If we look at the bracket, we're already seeing a couple of people who are lower ranked winning. I mean, the biggest upset obviously was Smaxy over Dark Soap. That was rank 2
Yeah.
versus rank 15 here, and wow, what an upset! And it was
Yeah.
fun. It was
Yeah,
fun.
and like the other upset too was Mod versus let's see here versus
Lithium
Lithium, dude.
versus
Yeah. Yeah, and Lithium managed to take that match as well. And that
yeah,
was
yeah.
definitely an upset in relation to the actual channel point voting too. Like it was 10-1. And
People were saying that Bean sold it. I don't think so, guys. I don't think so.
nah,
I
nah,
think they
nah.
just made a mistake in the second match particularly, and it made it look like it was worse because sometimes, especially with how fast some of these weapons are, you make one mistake and that's like 3 hits and then you're done.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
you're in
yeah.
pretty bad shape.
Well, yeah,
So
dude. And especially
it
against
happened.
the setup as oppressive as PSGS can be, and especially when you have those tournament nerves that you're still not, like accustomed to at this point. Toko in chat, I believe, mentioned that it was his second. So I mean, there's still very
Yeah.
much there, at that point in your career. And it's just like it's something that we all have to deal with, and hopefully learning from this experience, going forward, they're able to combat that a little bit better, and that's all we can hope for, dude.
Yeah.
Exceptional play from both players though. It was quite the match.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't see anything too fancy from Eli. Eli sort of played it straight to
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
vest on that one, which is
Yep.
fair.
Played
I
it safe.
mean, I don't blame anyone. Again, I'm seeing some of these halberd. I actually has all of the halberd players. No, actually, it was Smaxy did win with the halberd, but a lot of the halberds you saw it in that fight where people are strafing the R1.
Yeah.
Throw out
Yeah.
the R2. They're running
Mm-hmm.
R2. Throw out a
Yep.
different attack
Yeah.
again especially in the top level in Frosty. I'm sure you know this.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the same stuff over and over, people will capitalize on that
Yes.
and they will
Yeah.
punish you for it.
Yeah.
Do different stuff.
Exactly. And we've
Change it
seen that
up.
on display multiple times throughout the tournament thus far with these upper echelon of players. They're able to adapt on the fly. And if you're not actually mixing up at every single opportunity that presents itself, then you're losing the fight. Genuinely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like at this highest level of play, doing the unexpected is the best play every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna go through the rules again until we get the next match set up.
All right, beautiful.
So Ash of Wars, we already went through what's banned. Storm Stomp, Storm
Yep.
Assault is not banned. That is allowed.
Yep.
I personally think it should be banned personally, but as we saw, someone did use it, but it wasn't utilized well. I think Storm
Right.
Assault against non-hyper armor situations, I think it's brutal. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't use it, it's almost like you're nerfing yourself. But whatever. It's the den made it up. You guys make the rules when you play to see what is broken and what's not broken.
Yeah.
So far, I'm not noticing anything I would say is completely out of hand
I
in this
agree.
tournament.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do like that. I think the rules are probably pretty good so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, any consumables that are HP recovering, other than Blessed Dew Talisman, I think is that the only thing that's
I
allowed.
do believe so. Yes. Yep.
Flask of Cerulean Tears is only limited to 7. Radiant Ball to Chin's Blessing or Ball to Chin's Blessing. All livers and boiled prawn or crabs. Now that's interesting. Why do you think the crabs are banned here? Because I feel like, especially on the PC side, there's maybe because you have so many other options to get more health. Is that the whole deal?
So
Uh,
I believe that the main reason for banning those in particular was just that it creates a weird dynamic where, you know, especially the dried livers, you know, for like elemental defenses
Livers,
and things
I
like
get.
that.
Those I
Right.
totally understand.
Yeah. It creates kind of like a rock paper scissors dynamic, you know, and that kind of feels bad, you know. I believe that was the main reason for that, but I'm sure somebody in chat could clarify the boiled prawn and crab, because I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm curious because like a lot of times, because we all know that the damage in this game is insane, which is why on PC they allow for the rune arc and all this stuff to get added health. So that's why I just thought that one was a bit weird. The livers I totally understand because it can shut down.
Yeah, it invalidates a lot of different setups. Yeah, right.
So I do get that, but I thought the crab was weird. I don't know. Obviously, you can't have spirit summons. Iron Jar aromatic. You know, that's clear. All this poise situation.
Yep.
Eventually, we're gonna get some steed battles happening, some jousting tournaments.
Dude.
But one other thing that a lot of people may not understand, especially if you don't play at a higher level, is like fan daggers. Fan daggers are banned, and I mean, as far as I understand, I think they're banned because of the combo potential that can be out of control with them. I don't believe they're banned because of like a last hit situation. I believe they're banned because now that people have been using them and they're more proficient in using them, getting headshots with them and comboing people. I think actually someone just figured out a 100-0 combo with thrusting attack. What the hell is that thing called? The thrusting Ash of War, the one that does repeating thrusting.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah, repeating thrust. Yep.
There's a combo now where you can do repeating thrust into headshot into repeating thrust, and they can't do anything. They can't get out of it. It's a 100-0 combo there, which is it's cool because I think stuff like that is cool. Things that are kind of overpowered sometimes, but it's just like, oh boy, someone could get really good at that, and it's just like if you have that on a bleed build, you have to have it on a bleed build because you get the bleed procs and so on, and you just
Halvard actually chimed in and said the talisman prevents it, if I recall correctly, and the pumpkin hat, which makes you take it reduces the hit stun of headshots, so it makes that's hilarious. Not a possibility.
See, like obviously you have to ban something like that because you don't want everyone having to wear that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
The whole point is you don't want everyone to have to do like certain things in order
to force a particular thing. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yep. That's
what we try to get away from that as best as we can.
Yeah.
So one thing that I always we're about to get in the match, but we'll go through the talismans real quick. Is Alexander and Warrior Jar Shard? I thought save for maybe very few weapons. I thought those should be allowed, but I guess I can understand it now, especially since we're trying to figure out some other stuff. Crucible Feather Talisman, that's obvious. We want people to be able to get hit. If you can reset Ace's score up there.
Yeah, true.
Production team. Godskin Swaddling Cloth. Only while power stance, probably because it procs on every ghost hit and on everything.
Yeah, it has the requirement, so it goes from 6 hits that you need to land to 4.
Yeah, so it's like
4.5, 4.5.
We don't want people to have free healing forever. And same thing, all healing incantations. And Placidusax Ruin is banned. And again, you guys can see it yourselves on the challenge. But we are here. We are ready. We have no mistake Witnake Blue versus Ace. I don't know anything about Ace, so if you can shed some light.
So yeah, Ase has been actually killing it, dude, recently. Like, his play it's definitely impressed me, and he's definitely a newcomer on the scene overall. I believe he's a returning player with 1.10 in particular.
Okay.
So it'll be very interesting to see how he goes up against Witnake here. It's going to be very, very exciting match.
All right, let's count it down.
All right.
3, 2, 1, fire.
All right,
so we have
course.
Oh, it's spears. Witnake with the spears.
Ooh, cheeky. Yeah. I don't believe I've seen Witnake on PS Spears at all throughout any of his tournament play here. So this is very interesting. And of course, we see a little bit of a breakaway punish by the side of Ase here, but and Beautiful roll catch on the side of Ase yet again, but absolutely brutal. Goes for the phalanx, does get half hit for it a little bit there, but man,
Is this a
Ase's
bleed
aggression
kill
here is incredible.
for Ase? Is it Ase on a bleed situation with the dagger?
I don't believe
Or is it
so.
frost?
It could potentially be cold. Yeah, that's what I would venture a guess as to. But of course, we see both players definitely playing very safe, waiting for their moments to come in here. Oh, and Witnake actually saw his opportunity to go in there, but just the familiarity with the setup of Witnake and how comfortable he is on it, knowing it inside and out, to be able to understand that he can just go for these force trades and come out ahead every single time.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people might look at what Ase did there, and I don't know, I call him Ace. I'm not really sure.
No worries. Yeah.
A lot of people might look at what they did there, and this is a style of play many top players don't utilize, by the way. Essentially taking a hit to get priority. Ase was doing this a lot throughout this match, actually. And, you know, to his detriment, obviously he lost.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to, like, you almost have to get hits, depending on the situation, in order to get priority or positioning. So we see a lot of just attacking at a hit stun, a lot of sort of going in and trying to pre-attack and getting trades. Because sometimes, depending on how you play, and I don't know Ase that well, it can set up a like a combo potential or a roll catch potential through reset after either a hit stun or a trade.
Yep.
And I believe, I could be wrong, I believe that's what they were trying to go for. It didn't work out for them. I don't know if did we see any Ash of War from Ase? I don't think
I don't believe so. I don't think we saw any from either player there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very interesting too, like seeing what Ase is going for with the pure damage, with the drawstring grease on the halberd in particular, and then going for the cold off dagger. I'm surprised we're not seeing him utilize Chilling Mist on the off dagger to just get those cold procs a little bit quicker and more consistently here. But we will see how it goes going into the second match. It looks like we have Ase on a little bit of a change up here with the Shunter to potentially shut down and combat the incredibly oppressive Power Stance Spears.
Yes. Yeah, we did. And I actually think this is a better matchup, especially with the hyper armor. And chat is saying that Ase used Phalanx once. I guess.
Oh, he did indeed. Yeah, right. Yeah, and he did manage to turn that around and get some damage off on it, but not the full true combo there. But without further ado or delay, please go ahead and count it down, my friend.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, fight. All right, so yeah, they do the normal early buffing. I do think this is probably one of the easier stages to get a free buff off. Sort of, you know, can't really be punished as much for how far they are. But
we have seen some physic punishes overall, though, in the form of frost pots in particular, that are relatively consistent, all things considered. We do see a little bit of a jumping attack coming out from the follow-up, or to avoid the follow-up on the side of Ase there, and there's already a significant HP advantage here.
I did not realize how much damage they can do.
Yeah.
Oh, he's stuck in the corner.
Oh,
now you know what? Now's the time to press L2. L2.
Actually,
where's he gonna go,
dude? That was incredible on the side of Ase to be able to dish out that overwhelming sense of aggression and pressure there. And I do believe that's the first time we've ever seen a full corner block to that degree.
That was so cool.
In the tournament.
I don't know what you do if you're Witnake in that situation, because like the hyper armor and you don't stun out of it. That's really difficult, actually.
Right. Yeah. But we see Ase definitely on his last legs here.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and to round it out, that pressure with the running L1s there on the side of Witnake, and definitely had the advantage there in terms of damage.
Yeah, I mean, Ase played pretty strange. Oh, here we go. We get to see it.
Yes,
I don't know.
dude.
What do you do if you're Witnake here? Like, because the hyper armor just brutalizes you.
Yeah.
I don't even, like, even if you jump, maybe you try to jump over or something. I don't even know.
Potentially. Yeah, we've never seen that interaction to that degree before. That's very, very interesting. Wonder if that'll end up being a strategy that we see repeated all throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have the hyper armor and damage advantage. I mean, why not? The hyper armor was big because you could just keep attacking. You can't do anything. Now, right here,
Yeah.
we see at the end here, I thought Ase made poor rolling choices. So right there, it just spaced it. But we see at the last hit, they sort of panicked right here, and then
Yeah, he
right
thought
there.
he was doing it at right after the other
Yeah.
one. Yeah, a little bit of a mix-up timing on the side of Witnake there. And
Yeah.
to round out the match there, I think it was smart for Ase to try to combat the PS Spears with hyper armor. I think that was a
I
good
agree.
choice. But you need to have the timing. The timing needs to be just absolutely exceptional when you're trying to utilize hyper armor to its fullest potential, right?
I agree. No, I actually, I generally hate when people switch it up unless they are losing or they have a disadvantage. And I thought trying to bring the advantage back was smart. But like you said, I don't know how well versed they are in the shunter business.
Right.
But like we saw two other players who clearly that's one of their main weapons and they know how to use it. If Ase was able to basically machine gun crouch attack and just
Yeah.
constantly pressure with the hyper armor attacks and get Witnake to the wall to where they can't roll away easy and punish. But again, I don't know how well versed they are. I mean, I don't use that weapon myself, so I don't know how
Right.
difficult it is to
Yeah,
become
indeed.
awesome at it.
Yep. But without further ado, yet again, we have another ad break for you guys.
I'm depressed.
Please enjoy the spectacular system forcing pre-roll ads. XD
Yes.
Twitch. Bye for now.
All right, we are back finally after that devastating devil ad.
Yeah.
But we're here for the last round one match of this evening. Best 2 out of 3 here. Dimka versus Miasma. We've seen Miasma before, absolutely, but Miasma actually is a little bit lower ranked as far as this is concerned.
I haven't seen Miasma in a long time, actually.
Interesting.
And this is going to be very, very cool to see what he brings. Previously, he was an HTS main for the longest time, but I know he is a curve sword enjoyer as of late. So potentially we may see him bring that in here. But obviously, Dimka, exceptional player as well. His reaction rolls are impeccable. His overwhelming sense of pressure and aggression is just constantly on display. He definitely prefers the light, quick weapons first and foremost.
Yeah, what do they have? Is that Moonveil? I can't tell what that is.
I can't make it out.
So well, we shall see in a minute anyway. Count us down.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah,
okay,
let's see what that is.
Yeah, so it looks like I think that's Moonveil off stock potentially, or Power Stance Moonveils. And speak of the devil, dude, Miasma on the chamois, dude.
Trade sword, Slender.
Wait, is it? Is it off Slender? Oh, it is off Slender with Moonveil main hand. Very interesting. That's something that I do want to point out too. Offhand straight sword actually became an exceptional offhand because it has such low recovery into attacking into your main hand that it allows you to actually retain priority a lot of the time too. Depending on your main hand option, of course, which is very, very good. Obviously, does get caught by the Moonveil. Unsheath R1 there for a significant chunk of damage. And Miasma definitely needs to be careful here. Miasma, of course, going for the sword dance, expecting Dimka to actually mash out of hitstun there, but unfortunately he does and is able to avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this, and again, the hyper armor of the sword dance can brutalize this situation. Yes. Can the Moonveil Ash of War break that out of the posture of that?
Potentially an Unsheath R2 can combat the hyper armor that sword dance in particular has. Yeah, and beautiful. We're seeing that aggression kept up on the side of Dimka to be able to actually.
Oh, there it is.
And the Ash of War almost trades there too, but sword dance obviously a little bit quicker and came out ahead in that particular interaction. I don't think we've seen.
Is that it? No, he's alive. And the roll catch
to round it out. One thing I do want to say
Wow.
about that match in particular, I think that's the match that we've seen the most trades between the opponents back and forth because they
Oh
were
man.
constantly just
Yeah,
attacking each other in the and just being like,
I
I am
love
not
it.
scared. And
Yeah, I
the
mean, and
aggression,
that's
man.
yeah, you have to be you and I always say this, like if you have a style of play, you have to dictate the match in order to, you know, use your style of play. A lot of
Yeah.
times if you're on the back foot, you play different, you're playing weird, you're playing against what you
Hmm.
have, you're uncomfortable. But both of these players were basically trying to will themselves
Yeah,
and will
dude.
their whole style into
Yeah.
the match.
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty interesting because, like, I think, as far as I can understand, I think Dimka probably looks for a lot of combos, like an L1, R1 into maybe the unsheath or something
Yeah,
like that.
I'm thinking
But
so.
they weren't even allowed to. Miasma was not allowed to him. So, like,
No,
this
yeah.
shows you the weapon that sort of makes the style of play against what Dimka was trying to do, and it forces them to just play differently, and it's fascinating to see this.
Absolutely, dude. And just like Heavenly Flavor in chat mentioned there, Sword Dance was used perfectly in that match, and I couldn't agree more. Just he
Really well,
picked
yeah.
his moments, the timing was absolutely impeccable in every regard. But we will see if Dimka is able to adapt on the fly in this subsequent match here. Go ahead and count it down.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is an interesting match because I do think Shamshir is very powerful, and with the added hyper armor situation of the Ash of War, I mean, that really, I think, puts it over the edge in a lot of these matchups where you're safe in a lot of instances, whereas you might not be in other spots.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, it allows you that holy shit button, for lack of a better word, right? Like it's very yeah, it definitely elevates a lot of these quicker setups, you know. And honestly, once again, I want to point this out. I'm surprised that we haven't seen anyone go for a strafe against Sword Dance in particular, because you get a free backstab, if not 2 R1s or even an R2, depending on the weapon, in a lot of circumstances here. And I'm just surprised we haven't seen any strafing on it in particular.
Probably because people don't have enough practice with it, so they're not comfortable with it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
It wasn't super used, but now if, you know, Shamshir, oh my goodness.
Oh,
Well, I was talking, thinking it was going to go on for a minute, but Miasma just got bladed and moonveiled. I mean, that was what, like a 4-hit? I mean,
was that a tier skip too? I think it might have been, actually.
Yeah, we'll see. That was crazy because it was pretty even. And
Yeah.
then it was like 4 hits, moonveil, 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 and then dead.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, with this in particular too, like I think it was very smart of Dimka to take the more reserved approach in this follow-up match here, because he saw exactly how Miasma was playing in the first match with that overwhelming sense of aggression, you know, just not afraid to attack at any
Boom.
moment.
Oh, the pivot.
You know, and
The pivot screwed him
yeah.
there.
And to catch him, to catch him on the back step too, which was probably unintentional on the side of Miasma, if I had to venture a guess. But yeah, the tier skip there was absolutely brutal.
Yeah, you see what happens there. Like one mistake, especially against Moonveil. Moonveil actually something that I was surprised I didn't see more people use, but we see it here. 1-1, the last of round 1. Who's going to make it to the round 2 against Witnake, by the way? So they have a tall order when whoever. So we shall see how this works out. Count us down.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so what I was trying to say before, by the way, until I was rudely interrupted by Miasma dying. I was trying to say, I don't think a lot of people have a lot of practice with strafing that dance there.
Yeah, so. Sword Dance in particular. Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I don't know if a lot of people know that you can just straight up get a strafe BS. And the thing is, like, the thing that I want to really hammer home here is literally, like, you can walk to the side to strafe sword dance too. Like it's not like it's difficult to do, and
Which
you get
side?
massively rewarded to the right hand side.
Their right or your right?
Your right when fighting it. Yep. Yeah, and it's just baffling to me that I haven't seen anybody go for that, especially with how prevalent sword dance has been. But going back into the play-by-play here, we're definitely beautiful roll catches on the side of Dimka, showing that this Moonveil with off straight sword can be absolutely brutal in the right hands, and the outspace on the running R1 into the transient moonlight unsheath R1. Absolutely dominant round by the side of Dimka
that was impressive, and I think Miasma didn't have the experience with this matchup or something because they didn't know the speed. As you'll see, the speed difference on what you can trade with, because usually Shamshir is pretty fast.
Yeah.
And the speed difference on what you could trade with, we'll see it here in a second. I think Miasma didn't realize that. I guess the recovery attacks of it are too fast for the Shamshir to spam them down, I guess.
Right.
I think right
and
here.
He gets priority there, and he keeps thinking he's going to mash, goes for the roll catch, but retains priority. Like I said, with the off straight sword, that's something that it definitely excels at. The exceptionally low recovery into attack of your main hand weapon.
Boom. Gosh. Brilliant spacing. The spacing was brilliant at the end.
It was, and that's something that Dimka has always excelled at. And of course, like the hard reads there, we were seeing that on full display. He landed that twice, I believe, in that last match. That unsheath R1 with a narrow outspace on the aggression attempt against Miasma there.
Yeah, it was. I gotta say, like it was close. It did look like that Dimka was a little bit more comfortable. Sometimes you almost can tell that Dimka just sort of, they seemed like they knew what they were using.
And very confident.
There was like but also just the fact that you have the ability of long range with some of the unsheath attacks of the Moonveil.
That's that
sort of gives you added security. He got hit with a couple of the long range attacks, and that allows you to attack more than you would normally. Because obviously, if you have a shorter weapon, you can't just attack in space. It does nothing, right?
Agreed.
So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know. I still think Shamshir. I don't know. I still think Shamshir might be favored in that matchup. I think Shamshir is really good. I could be wrong though. I don't know that matchup that well.
Shamshir is an exceptional weapon, and like we've been saying and seeing throughout the tournament thus far, in combination with these certain Ashes of War, especially now that they've been buffed and break and true combo on every hit subsequently now. In addition, it very much rounds out Shamshir like so well.
Yeah.
And honestly, like a lot of people in the community at large are calling two-handed Shamshir the Pontiff Knight Curve Sword of Elden Ring, right?
It's not quite there yet.
It's not. It's definitely not. Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem very good. I mean, just the fact that the running attacks can stun, I think that's probably its biggest deal. Because then you could do the running attack into the sword dance and you're fairly safe. I mean, unless of course you could just walk strafe like you're saying, but it seems like no one here knows how to do that.
So indeed. Very baffling.
But it's interesting because I'm learning, because I haven't faced the sword dance version too much myself. So now that I see that, I'm gonna do it because I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to do it,
dude. Of course. Yeah,
you gotta go in.
Yeah, of course, man. And one other thing I wanted to say about Shamshir in particular is just that it's such a well-rounded weapon overall. Like minus the R2s. The R2s are probably the only like thing that aren't as good as the rest of the moveset, but like both one-handed and two-handed, all of the base moveset is absolutely incredible. And I'm surprised we don't see a little bit more of one-handed curve sword being used across the board.
Yeah, I agree.
But without further ado, we are into the round 2 matches of the tournament. And of course, we have Space Ranger on the left and Lithium on the right as the underdog, taking the match earlier against maudcraeb.
Yeah, this is, again, I would say Shamshir has, I think Shamshir is the better matchup here. Like I think they have the advantage personally in this specific matchup.
If they can actually just go into actually attacking when the aggressor is close to them, that's what you need to do against this. But without further ado, we will get this match underway. Go ahead and count it down, my man.
Here we go. Space Ranger versus Lithium. 3, 2, 1. Fire away. Rank 1 Space Ranger versus rank 9 Lithium here in this tournament.
Yes. Okay, so we'll see. And obviously, Space Ranger incredibly confident with his spacing and his familiarity on this setup in particular, actually utilizing the jumping R1 on PSGS, which is something that I do not see a lot. Yeah, and it's absolutely exceptional. The Great Spear jumping attacks in particular are absolutely incredible, and I love to see that actually utilized here. Yes, and we actually see the Hyper Armor break through the crouching L1.
I gotta say, I just want to say real quick, brilliant by Lithium, because it's very difficult, especially for someone like Space Ranger, who is he's epileptic right now. He's all over the place. He's crazy. And so it's very difficult to see when they are going to attack. So what's better, knowing you can get the Hyper Armor on the Ash of War and not get hit, or maybe get a trade hit, or roll away and panic and just get hit anyway.
Yep.
Brilliant. I just wanted to point that out because, like,
no, dude,
it's tough.
I completely agree there. But obviously, Lithium needs to be very careful about being too formulaic here. But beautiful jumping R2 from the side of Lithium to be able to round that out and shut down all of the aggression that was coming out from the side of Space Ranger into the sword dance. Absolutely insane. Potentially a little bit of a latency there as well. And we're seeing the panic rolling coming out from the side of Lithium, unfortunately, here, when in reality, all he really needs to do is just attack here. But Space Ranger makes it increasingly difficult, of course, with his very, very rapid movements.
The spastic.
And yes, indeed. And the beautiful force trade, yet again, actually equalizing the playing field a little bit, gets caught by the jumping L1.
I want to say that was either they were in their menu or it was a input drop.
I was just going to say that as well. Input drop in the menu, or he got pivoted. We'll see this in the replay here as well.
Lithium, if you're in chat, please let us know what happened, because I mean, no one gets hit by that, right?
Unless it's a hard read, of course. But yeah, it definitely seemed like he was in his inventory there potentially because he did not have Red Feather on yet. But he did have blue on, which is kind of perplexing to me.
Wait. What is that? Lithium is using that that shield talisman for defense. Does that not even work?
No, it does. It works in PvP. It's just they're drastically less powerful, right? So it goes from like what 20% I think in PvE to like 5% in PvP of physical damage negation. Yeah, it's not.
I don't know if I've ever seen anyone use that. Actually,
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, they're very few and far in between. But
wow, yeah, I don't know. Space Ranger, because of his spastic movement, it's really hard to get a read on anything they're gonna do, because you have no idea, because the attacks come out so fast. So really good on Space Ranger. Clearly, they know what they're doing, and I can understand why it's tough for Lithium to get on the inside, try to attack, because again, although he's shown that you can press L2 if you're uncomfortable and Space Ranger's going crazy. Exactly. So I would like to see that. Go in, attack. If you get hit, press L2, try to get out of it, because you know Space Ranger's going to try to pressure you and get the roll catch. But either way, we're here. Fight 2, round 2, count us down.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go. All right, and this is one thing that I wanted to point out as well, like and you pointed this out too, is just the erratic movement that's coming out from the side of Space Ranger to be able to blend the startup of that crouching L1 to make it completely, entirely unreactable, even more so than it already is definitely on display here, with Space Ranger. And actually, Lithium was actually able to escape the vortex there, which is actually exceptional from the side of Lithium. But I definitely want to see a lot more aggression coming out from the side of Lithium here. But once again, it's incredibly difficult to actually find your way in against that erratic movement that Space Ranger is so good at.
Yeah, I mean, Space Ranger, I mean, it's in their name. Their spacing is really top notch right now.
Yes,
Their
indeed.
timing is incredible because they're not even getting in the range of R1 spam either. So I actually like that
Right.
Lithium is sort of attacking once and then again thinking a punish is going to happen, and Space Ranger's
Agreed.
still staying out of
Yep,
range.
yep. Beautiful debate on the side of Lithium there to be able to force the trade with the Sword Dance and come out on top, of course, with the 8% damage reduction that Hyper Armor does indeed provide at this point. Beautiful strafing on the side of Space Ranger there. Unfortunately, does get clipped by the second part of
Oh,
it.
I like that.
Tries to go for a breakaway rolling attack, but a little beautiful, infinitely cheeky on the side of Space Ranger to be able to mix up with that jumping R1.
Oh,
Does manage
out of
to get caught a
nowhere.
little bit on the Sword
kills
Dance,
are popped.
unfortunately. Yes, indeed. This is a very close match overall.
Yeah, this is crazy. So I don't know what Lithium does here other than basically get a combo in. It's tough. They can't
Yeah.
make a mistake. They gotta, I don't know. How can they, because, oh
Oof.
man, one hit away it looks like for Lithium.
Yeah, and Lithium's going to have to play it very, very passive here if he wants to be able to survive and actually be able to force the trade against the PSGS
Oh, I
here.
like that.
Okay,
I
the
like
overwhelming
that.
sense of aggression, but unfortunately gets the... Oh my word! The overwhelming sense of aggression here coming out from the side of Lithium, but gets
Oh!
overzealous with the jumping R2 and narrowly whiff punished and outspaced by
Yeah,
the Space Ranger
barely space.
himself.
I don't know if Space Ranger would have died from that jumping R1, but it might have stunned him out of his attack to not get the kill. That was really
Yeah,
close.
it was indeed.
Yeah, that was tough. It did seem like Lithium did a really good job of once getting a hit, doing the added pressure afterwards.
Yes, exactly, dude. Yep.
But it
I
was tough
completely
to
agree.
get to that point. That was the
Exactly.
issue.
See, and
Oh man.
here, right here too. Like Lithium knows he's on one shot here, but he remains ever vigilant and he keeps aggressing, keeps
Yes.
up that pressuring overall, and manages to actually shut down a lot of what Space Ranger was doing here, even interrupting the breakaway rolling attack coming in too. And I do believe a jumping R2 right here would have been the difference. Oh, and you're right, it
Oh,
was a jumping R1.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one because the jumping R1 damage discrepancy between the jumping R1 and the jumping R2 is quite significant.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. You like to see matches go into the third. I mean, I think most of us like to, just to see like, oh, well, what can they do, especially if it's that close. But I mean, really well played by Space Ranger. It was unfortunate that Lithium dropped the first match pretty handily.
Yeah,
Second match
agreed.
was very close.
Yes, yep.
Very close. And I always say this in every tournament. A lot of these matches, you look at it and you're like, oh, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. And like,
Right.
usually they're a lot closer than obviously the 2-0 makes it look like. Like 2-0 makes it look like they infinitely
exactly,
destroyed them.
dude. Right.
It's
But that's
not
not always
generally
the
the
case.
case.
Yep.
I mean, rarely do we see that. Every now and then somebody drops a match bad. I think probably, who was it? Maybe I don't know. Somebody dropped the match pretty bad. The second match, they said they threw it. They threw the
Yeah.
match. But
Yeah, I don't recall in
Bean.
particular.
It
But
was Bean.
oh
But
right, yeah, the turning nerves and all that. Yeah, yep. And that happens,
But
man, you know.
yeah, then
Yep.
everybody makes one or two mistakes. Sometimes it makes you look like you never played the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't expect them to do that. They did this. I got backstabbed. I'm down 1,000 health. Blah blah blah.
Right.
So on.
See, and then if you start stacking the odds against yourself and you start tearing yourself down, that makes it hit so much harder too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like
Yeah.
I know that personally too with like my participation in the tournaments overall. That's something that I've definitely had to come to terms with, you know, and it's there's a lot more like mental aspect to competing than a lot of people give it credit for, you know? Like you have to be so of sound mind to be able to play exceptionally well, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this. Luckily, this tournament is rolling by actually rather smoothly. Thank
Yeah.
you, Shell, and everybody else who helped with this. I mean, it's fantastic. But
Agreed.
some of these tournaments, especially the double elimination ones,
Mhm.
fatigue legit plays a factor.
Oh, dude,
I mean,
yeah, I know.
it's
100%,
so luckily this tournament we probably won't run into sort of like a super fatigue situation. I don't know the times for. I know some people are Russian, right, or something like that, or
right,
um,
yeah.
Is Space Ranger Russian? I forget who's. But either way,
Right.
so
Yep.
hopefully it won't be too late for anyone, depending on
Agreed.
their
Yeah.
normal
Yep.
sleeping
And
time.
we're chipping along, dude, as it ends up here. And it looks like moving on here, we have Space Ranger, of course, making it to the semifinals. And the next match we will have for you guys is Ruth versus Yas.
Oh,
Both very proficient shunter players. I'm very interested to see the setup difference here.
well, one is using Shunter, Ruth, and
Okay,
then
Ruth is staying on
Jaws
shunter.
is
Interesting.
using the Commander. Is that what that is?
Yep,
Halberd?
Commander Standard. Yep. Okay, very
Anything
interesting.
off? I can't see. I can't notice an
Potentially
off.
off stock or dagger. It definitely looks like dagger if I had to venture a guess here. And that is a very smart decision on the side of Yas if it is the dagger, because the dagger has exceptionally low recovery as opposed to thrusting sword. So maybe that will allow them the ability to get in and out safely from the overwhelming sense of pressure and vortex potential that Shunter is able to provide.
Yeah, and I think that would be their saving grace. But either way, we're going to start this round 2 battle.
Yes.
Start it up.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Go.
I do think in this matchup, the hyper armor is going to reign supreme unless, a bleed or something procs, because it's really tough to get through that speed and the reset of that hyper armor. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
Oh my, wow. Exceptional spacing coming up from the side of Yas here, showing that he is incredibly confident against this setup in particular, and it is off dagger, as I was saying here, and we may see a lot of strafing coming out from the side of Yas this time around, and we're already seeing it this early into the match, and we'll definitely have to see how this goes overall. Yas playing exceptionally safe here, going for the dagger first and foremost, primarily relying on his reaction rolls, but does get roll caught more than once, even into the anti-air here. Definitely dominant on the side of Ruth
is just the Terminator. I mean, it's just like going forward, just constantly attacking. Like, I don't care if I get hit. Look at this. Doesn't care. And this is why it's so dangerous to deal with, not just Ruth, but like this weapon in general.
Yeah.
That hyper armor is crushing.
Beautiful roll catch on the side of Yas to be able to get a 4-hit combo and get away, but the strafe comes out from the side of Ruth here. A little bit back and forth, goes for the follow-up R1 on the side of Ruth there.
Where's the bleed?
And out comes the Katars for the finish here. I wonder, a little bit of a half hit. Actually, Yas not dead yet, able to tank with
the Starfist now.
And the Starfist come out with that unreactable running R1. Absolutely brutal amounts of damage on pure strength, which we definitely know
right now. I don't know.
On the side of Ruth to go with Starfist, I think Starfist, the reason why, again, the unreactable running R1 for the finish is much better than anything that Katar could potentially offer.
Well, I meant as far as not sticking with the Shunter. Because I thought maybe going for a hyper armor trade would just
that would have worked just as well. Yeah, it's very interesting that Ruth decided to swap off for the finish in the first place anyway. Because, all Ruth really needed was one counter hit trade on the crouching R1 to skip past the 200 HP even.
I think the Katars those are style points. And then you mean business when you bring out the Starfist, you know what I mean?
That is a big true,
that's basically
Starfist and nothing to mess with.
So I wonder, did we see a bleed? We didn't see a bleed proc, right?
I don't believe so, no.
So I don't know what, because it looked like there was a lot of phantom hits, ghost hits, and just a lot of hits in general. And I really wonder where Ruth was at on that, because that not proccing is a big deal. To the point where I don't think Yas should be using what they're using if it's not working out like that. I mean, it looks like they're switching to something else, maybe. We shall see. I don't know. Count us down. We'll see if they change something. Yeah, it looks like they're changing.
Shamshir looks like on the side of Yas here, but without further ado, 3.
That looks like a thrusting sword.
2, 1. Does it? Okay, well, maybe I can't see. Maybe I'm blind.
Two-hand thrusting sword?
A two-handed thrusting sword. Okay, with poison grease, because, of course, rot grease is indeed banned here. Of course, not the base rot grease, just drawstring. And of course, that is a main reason why we're seeing the poison grease coming out here. Absolutely
I don't know,
insane
man.
roll catches on the side of Ruth
I
here,
don't.
just
Oh
shutting it
my
down.
lord, the Terminator's back at it. Oh. I don't know what you like. What do you do as the thrusting sword user here?
I think what Yas is relying on is just playing incredibly safe here, but once again, against a vortex setup like this, if you're roll heavy, you are all it takes is one hit, and then you're in that vortex scenario, and you're gonna have a very difficult time making the read to actually be able to get out there, right?
Yeah, this feels very tough because
Yeah.
if you're not stunning, you get no priority. You don't. I don't know. You just don't have the advantage in many
Yeah.
of the situations. I don't know.
Yeah, and Yas, once again, that's what he's hoping to do here primarily, is go for the roll-ins with the incredibly fast rolling R1 of two-handed thrusting sword here, able to get in and get out, but unfortunately goes for another hit after the jumping R2 lands, almost gets the backstab, actually, unfortunately, and that allows
that was
Ruth,
really fast.
yeah,
They
to
didn't
actually
get it,
goal
which
this
was crazy.
too. Beautiful rollouts on the breakaway there, able to land 2 R1s there before getting out, but unfortunately does get anti-aired there too. Very dangerous position. Oh my word. And Ruth makes the right choice to just press R1 out of hit stun with the frame 8 attack of the neutral R1, which is indeed unreactable yet again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a tough match because it's funny because we used to think of thrusting swords, especially with like the crouching attack, as like the best, right?
Yeah.
As like so fast you stick and move. That I really feel like that backstab should have.
It was very, very, very well timed. I think the press on the R1 was just a little bit delayed to secure it there.
Man, that would have probably maybe killed.
Potentially, it potentially could have tier skipped, yeah, because he was in red feather range, and yeah, that may have been the thing to do it. Man, that is incredibly unlucky. But Yas did play a good game here to be able to. He was playing exceptionally safe throughout the entire match, and that definitely deserves to be commended there. And it's just a very difficult thing to find your way in against the hyper armor that Shunter now has.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, even if you find your way in, you still have to go away.
Exactly,
and that's the problem.
And they don't. Yeah, yeah.
Because they can just stay there and constantly attack, and I think we're seeing how that's kind of a problem. Like we see that is a problem. Because does anyone else even have hyper armor outside of the Ash of War? I don't even know if anyone else is using hyper armor in this entire tournament other than Shunter.
Yeah, I know. It's very interesting too, because I believe I do believe that Yas was running Hall Dagger at the start, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so what I find very fascinating too is that he's not making use of the two-handed hyper armor that Halberd has. Yet again.
No one is. You're mentioning it again. No one's been doing that.
Yeah. And like even for those setups that like Hall Dagger, like Hall Stock, those things in particular that don't necessarily have it by default, they're just incredibly strong and excel in different aspects. But dude, you can two-hand your weapon. You have access to hyper armor.
How do you do that on keyboard and mouse? I don't know.
Dude, big true. Fuck if I know, dude.
I know, right?
But no, dude, like that's something that I definitely want to see more of, dude, is just more utilization of the entire aspect of your setup that you're running. Because like if you take a setup like Hallstock in particular, not only do you have everything that it excels at baseline with the neutral R1s one-handed and the offstock pressure, but you can also two-hand your offhand for the two-handed pressure of two-handed thrusting sword, or you can have the hyper armor of the two-handed halberd. And like you just have every basis covered there. And it's unfortunate that the vast majority of players aren't looking at it like that, you know, and aren't utilizing all of that.
I think you're right in the fact that you have such a disadvantage with that speed and the hyper armor if you don't combat it with hyper armor itself. Either you got to believe in yourself to basically play perfect,
Yeah.
or you got to switch, because like I
Mhm.
just it's to me that it's such a big disadvantage there. And, like, I don't know what you do. Like, even jumping isn't safe, right? You get anti-aired. Like, you're
Yeah.
not safe in any capacity in close range,
Yep.
and you always lose priority and advantage every hit, even on
Mhm.
your side. Like, it's crazy. Unless, of
Yep.
course, obviously you have some sort of crazy Ash of War with
Yep.
hyper armor or something
Mhm.
like that.
Yep.
So I don't
And
know.
definitely the to your point too, the hyper armor weapons excel and are definitely like more strong in relation to that in particular, that they can just
Yeah,
retain the priority even more so, you know what I mean, than light weapons.
yeah,
And but yeah, just speaking on that front, absolutely incredible showcase from both players
yeah.
there. Yas did his best to try and adapt when he could, and that is for sure commendable. But
Yes,
Ruth
absolutely.
just knows the shunter inside and out and knows
Terminator.
when exactly and every single circumstance where they have priority and where they know they can win, right?
Absolutely. So,
Hmm.
unfortunately, after that match, we have to bring it down a little bit. We got to go back to an ad break. But after that, we will get Witnake and Dimka. So we'll see you then. Or I'm sorry, Smaxy and Eli. Sorry.
Yes, indeed. Yep. See you guys soon.
And we are back in round 2. We just saw a
Yes.
couple matches here. Ruth terminating Yaz. Uh, the heavy shunter with the heavy hyper armor
Yep.
putting in work. We see that. But we have Smaxy versus Eli next up. Rank 15 versus rank 10. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, they're I guess more closely ranked than Space Ranger and Lithium, which is 1 and 9. But it's
Right.
interesting. We're still seeing a lot of different setups and weapons, which I appreciate. But
Yeah, agreed.
we are seeing Shunter sort of take control of things, and I wonder if that's going to continue.
I agree.
All right,
But
so
we will
this
see
this
here.
is a matchup here. Smaxy and Eli, as you see, it looks like what, dual straight swords for Smaxy and
Yeah, and
halberd off something.
Hall Stalker, Hall Dagger.
Um, yeah, so I like this matchup because people stun, right?
Yeah.
Both sides stun with all
Hmm.
of their attacks, and there isn't inherent hyper armor outside of, Ash of War or two handing or something.
Right.
So I like that. I think this matchup, I'm curious to see who actually is favored.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Smaxy plays PSSS, which is what I do believe. I think that is because Smaxy was able to actually take out Dark Soap with
Yeah.
Hallstock, which was absolutely exceptional. And yeah, going forward, we'll see how Eli can play the Hall Dagger or Hallstock here. But without further ado, let's count it down.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Fight. So, in your estimation, based on what you've seen in this matchup, who do you think's favored?
Um, honestly, I would lean more towards the power stance straight swords, and
Oh my!
we're seeing a
Oh my lord! Uh,
I
um,
uh,
this might be the only time I'm gonna say this. Can we have a redo? That was brutal.
I don't know if Eli didn't was I don't
Are
know.
you ready to see the whole match, which was 5 L1s?
Oh, player colors are wrong. Okay, good to know.
Oh,
Okay, so Eli is indeed in blue, and Smaxy is in the red. Okay,
okay. I thought it
good to
was
know.
weird that he switched, by the way.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was really weird. Okay, so
Yep.
all right. The colors were just swapped.
And once
Got
again, we see Eli actually get the lightning bolt physic punish at the start too, which is absolutely brutal. And then
Yeah.
so yeah, Smaxy, just look at the HP melt away. Power
Oh my
stancing is
god.
indeed balanced, folks. FromSoft, please
Oh,
never fix
I
it.
guess it was 7 L1s. Sorry. I guess
Sorry.
seven L1s for 2500 health plus a
Yep.
tier. That I mean, right there you see obviously the power. You see that they panicked a little bit when they were by the wall. I'm actually surprised they didn't try to choose a different arena. Uh,
Yeah,
they should have tried to do, an Ash of War maybe to combat that aggression a little bit, because we know they have them. Ooh man,
yeah.
that
Oof.
was that was rough. I
Well, we'll
will
see.
admit, yeah, we're gonna see. It's gonna be different. All right, I can guarantee it. This is going to be different. We're gonna see it be a little bit different. But again, right there, you saw if Smaxy attacked first, the whole thing would have been different. You know what I mean?
Yes, I completely
The
agree.
whole fight would have been
Yeah,
completely different. So we'll
We'll
see
see
that.
if that was a wake up call for Smaxy here, but we'll see if Eli definitely goes for the physic punish again here too. All right, without further ado, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, punish
On
doesn't get it though.
the fully charged try to actually hard read the delay on the physic drink there was absolutely incredible from the side of Eli.
Yeah, I think Smaxy wants to avoid the wall. Oh my lord.
Yep,
I
and
think
there goes half the HP bar yet again.
Do they think they can tank a hit or something? I don't know. They're taking too many hits in a row, which is I'm wondering what they're trying to set up.
Yeah.
Nice spacing.
Beautiful, beautiful on the
There's
side
the
of
priority
Smaxy
loss
to
right
be able
there.
to answer back. Did manage to retain the priority with the subsequent attacks with the status proc in particular, though, which was very, very nice.
All right,
And we see a little
this
bit
is
of
a weird.
phalanx.
Oh, nice pressure. I like the pressure there. A weird thing, and I'll ask you: do you think it was actually a mistake to take away the frost?
Oof, and just goes into the
Because
third
now he
L1
can
there.
get frosted again.
Yeah, potentially.
It's a weird. Nah, well now he can't.
Yeah.
Oh, just
Tries to
missed.
go for the read, but unfortunately the tracking wasn't there. And Eli, obviously, with a very confident win and 2-0
That was
there.
a lot closer. I mean, it's funny because like you look at Smaxy had to hit Eli like 2 more times
Yeah, that
than
is true.
Eli had to
Smaxy,
hit
yeah.
Smaxy.
Yeah. Smaxy definitely played a little bit more competently there towards the beginning and middle of the match to be able to actually get a combo off like he did, like that 4 to 5 hit combo in succession against the setup as oppressive as Power Stance Straight Sword can be. That's incredibly well done there. But unfortunately, when you get 4 to 6 shotted,
Yeah.
it's a thing that can happen.
Yeah, I mean, you saw there in the middle when he got that combo, right? He kept going with the thrusting sword attack. But then now because of the new update, you lose priority after the second one. What is it? The first it's the first 2 thrusting sword attacks
Yeah, do 109, and then
and then
subsequently
the
it goes
third
down to
one.
56. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what happened there. I would have liked them to do that twice and then try to do the halberd again or something and swap that off. But instead they just went with the thrusting sword,
Yeah.
which I think then they lost the priority. They got hit for, whatever 500 damage, whatever the hell it is. And of course it sort of went down there. I do like that attack at the end they tried on the jumping. They just missed. They were just slightly off. They couldn't get the I guess side angle on it.
Yep.
So that could have changed things. That could have turned things around because again, he could have got frosted again if a combo happened. That could have killed him. Could have stunned. Could have maybe got a roll catch. I mean, we see that happen all the time, and it happens to me. And I don't know if it happens to you, but like those procs of bleed or frost or whatever that stun you. Sometimes that like completely throws me off because I didn't expect it at the time.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I'm like, oh, and then I either panic roll or I get hit with something else because I didn't realize in time.
And that's one of the things with this update in particular is that status counting in particular is very strong because if you know when or what follow-up attack that you're going for is going to proc it subsequently with that stun, that allows you to retain priority again, which is very good, right? And that can combat a lot of different problematic things. Even hyper armor, right? Like hyper armor gets stunned by that same status stun, right? So there's definitely answers to this, but yeah, it's Man, Codeds obviously will remain ever strong.
They are powerful. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, all right, you can go in with codage, you get hit a couple times, but then two L1s and you're right back in the game, like
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly. Right. Yep.
And that's why it's dangerous. I don't know if anyone here watches boxing, but like, or fighting, but
Hmm.
this guy, heavyweight Deontay Wilder, he's like not the best boxer, like technically. However, you make one mistake and he's gonna put you down and you're not
Yeah,
getting up.
dude. Yeah, the
And that's
power,
it.
man. Yep.
It's crazy. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. So it's like you gotta be perfect the whole time because
Hmm.
if not, you're gonna be put down and then
Yep.
you're out of the tournament. That's
One
it.
slip up, dude, and it's over. And it's very much the same case with a lot of the power stancing setups in this game in particular. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely
Crazy.
agree.
But next up, we have the last of round 2. We have No Mistake Witnake versus Dimka. Now we're starting to get into the matches, obviously semifinals and finals, where usually things slow down. Although with sort of somewhat new metas or new patches,
Hmm.
sometimes things just explode. They kind of just ramp up almost. They explode with new stuff, and then
Yep.
matches just end because like, oh, that was a crazy combo, or somebody read somebody perfectly, so on, and you see new things. But we'll see how that works in the coming matches.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Agreed, dude.
semifinals,
Yep.
they're 3 out of 5. Finals are
Hmm.
best 4 out of 7, and so we're gonna see people probably be a little bit loose in the first and second match, and then really start to play slow when they understand who they're going against,
Yes.
what they're using,
Exactly. Yep. Yep. That
and
adaptation, man. Yep.
yep. That first match is always like it's always fun to see what happens in the first match.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, because you're feeling out your opponent, and like that's to play off of what you were just saying there too. That's when the craziest things can happen is in the first match too, because when you're actually trying to figure out what your opponent's going to do, if they do something massively unexpected, you can get caught by that. Of course, you
Yeah,
know about it
absolutely.
for subsequent matches, but the
Yes.
craziest stuff can always happen in the first match, which I absolutely adore.
That's why I really liked was it no, Smaxy, right? It was Smaxy. That's what I really liked about Smaxy is we don't really see a lot of people do this, which I actually think is weird. But Smaxy was utilizing many different Ash of Wars. And
Yeah.
I think that actually I'm shocked that's not more mainstream for top level play.
I agree, honestly, dude. Yeah, because there's a lot of
'Cause-
mix-up potential and variety
yeah.
there. Yeah.
I honestly think like if this game progresses in, years from now and people still
Yeah.
play it, I think that will be if you don't do that, you're basically nerfing yourself, essentially.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Hard swapping is always like the peak,
Yeah.
of the player
Yeah.
base as it goes on. But moving into this next match here, of course, we have Witnake in the blue and Dimka in the red. Looks like power stance straight swords on the side of Dimka, and of course, sticking with the power stance spears, I think, from what I can
No, they're
see,
straight
at
sword.
least. Oh, they are, so it's a mirror here. Okay. So, prepare for an entertaining match, XD. All right, let's get this match underway.
Well, we haven't seen it in a while, but yeah, 3, 2, 1, fire. I mean, we haven't seen. I don't mind the occasional mirror match. It was just really bad. Oh no, it's a
dude,
right hand
yeah,
katana.
Dimka's on his patented straight
Oh,
sword
that's right.
offhand
Okay.
moonveil main hand. Okay, so
I
this
like
is
this.
actually exceptional. Okay, so moving forward here, I wonder how Dimka's actually going to approach Witnake here. Unfortunately, it does get clipped a little bit on the side of Dimka, but with that neutral jump over. But unfortunately, like this is from both players here, it's very, very reserved, I would say. And we're seeing a little bit more of an aggressive back and forth from the side of both players, especially Witnake with the PSSS here, and looking for that roll catch immediately.
Ooh.
And one thing I want to point out here too is you saw a little bit of that the wave dashing coming out from the side of Witnake and you saw the panic roll come out from the side of Dimka because of the crouching R1 pressure. That power stance straight sword is actually able to dish out now at this point.
Oh,
and we see a little
armor.
bit of a cheeky sword dance coming out from neutral there, catching Dimka off guard. And wow. And Witnake with the hard reads, just knowing exactly when Dimka is going to actually go in for his damage here. And Witnake is definitely exceptional with the hard reads here. Does a little bit of a cheeky power stance L1 from neutral to try and bait in aggression from the side of Dimka, but unfortunately no dice there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We found out Witnake is from Ukraine, not Russia. But
Okay, good
I
to
don't know where both of them are from. I did see a little bit of latency. We were seeing, some hits that were pretty far. So I
Yeah.
don't know how much that's affecting Dimka in this specific matchup. Witnake's still incredible spacing though, getting away from the straight sword attack punish.
Yeah, agreed.
But
Yeah,
you
and
see here, Witnake just goes on the offensive right
yeah,
here, like so many hits in a row.
yeah, the aggression here, and Witnake, of course, knows that he will win the trades here as long as he doesn't give Dimka time to actually go into the transient moonlight unsheath R1s and R2s respectively. Dimka's definitely going to have a really tough time actually getting in here.
Yeah, you saw here, we saw a couple trades that I thought Dimka had attacked first, but they made him trades, which is a little unfortunate if you're sort of trying to go for that, sort of micro quick attack
Yeah.
before first thing.
Yep.
So I really want, I think that's affecting Dimka badly here. Hopefully they'll be able to actually try to get away from that and maybe regroup. They're also not using the vertical slice of the Moonveil. I'm assuming
True.
because Witnake's probably so good at strafing it, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, potentially. We'll have to see as this next match unfolds here. Go ahead and count it down, my friend.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. I would like to see Dimka. I don't know. It's tough. This is actually really tough because I know, at least for me, any type of latency that screws up my game, the whole game is different,
Yeah, it is.
Nice
man.
spacing.
It becomes a different game entirely, man. And the ability to be able to adapt on the fly to not only your opponent's setup, but the latency that you're fighting in particular is definitely a very valuable skill to have, especially in this game in particular, right? And we're definitely seeing a lot more of a reserved approach coming out from the side of Dimka here, going for the neutral L1 into the R1 to retain that priority. Goes for a cheeky little unsheathed Moonveil. R1
Dimka's doing a really good job at evading, especially these crouch attacks. It's impressive.
Yeah, his game has definitely elevated since the last match immensely so. He knows exactly what Witnake is trying to do to him, and he's trying to
that does break him out. Look at
that. Force Witnake to actually play Dimka's game here. And we did see the unsheath Transient Moonlight R1 coming out from the side of Dimka, and it did manage to land into the true combo of the follow-up R1 there, but both players resetting neutral a little bit, tries to actually debate Dimka in to the sword dance, but Dimka does not fall for it, and a little bit of a mash back and forth there, but Dimka is not out yet. All he needs is one unsheath Moonveil R2 here to reset once again. Just as I suspected.
That's what Dimka needed because that crouch attack is so furiously fast. And it was like, they basically played that to draw because they knew it's either draw or lose because, like, Witnake's not going to get hit by some random, Ash of War there. Well, you knew the name of the Ash of War, which is hilarious. You're like,
Transient Moonlight.
Moonlight. I'm like, okay, this guy. I guess he's a enjoyer of such. I don't
know. But no, one thing that I wanted to point out too here is like that shows exceptional situational awareness on the side of Dimka to be able to force that and know that I am going to lose here. I have one chance to reset this. And I'm going to go for it and make sure that it lands. And that's exactly what we saw here.
And to put on to that, I see this happen often, and not just this game, but a lot of games or competitions where a lot of times people they play to like just lose slowly or not as badly, if that makes sense.
Right.
Whereas I don't understand that. It's like either because a loss is a loss anyway. It doesn't matter how bad or good it was.
I agree.
So who the hell cares? At least go for something that allows you a chance to win or tie it in this case.
Exactly.
So just,
Yep.
and even if it's the most wildest, lion's claw or something,
Yeah,
some dumb
dude.
thing, it doesn't like just do something that gives you a chance. Otherwise,
Yep.
you're just gonna lose anyway. So
Yep. It's
I
just like
I
Halvard
really,
said in the chat, dude. If you were behind, you got to take them risks, man. And I
yeah.
completely agree.
All right.
All right.
So that was exciting. Anyway, Dimka, let's
Yes.
see if you could do it again. Maybe try to
Yep.
move it forward a little bit.
Yep. All right.
Count
So
us
without
off.
further ado, here we go with the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Let's do it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
actually liked the way Dimka played there. They did panic a couple times where they maybe could have attacked. Well, already Dimka's down.
Yeah, we're seeing the absurd amount of pressure coming out from the side of Witnake here with those crouching R1s. Witnake knows, and
man.
you know what's exceptional about this too is Witnake definitely saw how panicked Dimka was with those crouching R1s towards the end of the last match, and without fail, he opens up the beginning of this match with a plethora of crouching R1s into the mix-up with the neutral L1. Absolutely
I don't think
beautiful.
Dimka got a hit yet, did he? Oh, there it is.
There it was.
But now
and
it
he's
doesn't
in red
matter.
tier. You never know.
There it is. Oh, I know it is true. You never know, but
yeah. But yeah, the
man.
HP advantage there and the discrepancy that lied therein
That was
was able
crazy.
to just trade in and round out the match. Definitely
I
a way
mean,
more confident round from Witnake there.
what a difference in matches, right? Like we saw a
Yeah.
slower, more calculated second match.
Yep.
And then this one, it was like Witnake had a fire up his ass and was like, no, I'm not dealing with that again. I'm going to just go
Yeah.
forward and I'm going to attack. He pressured him on the wall. He got extra hits.
Yeah.
Got him down, was doing, I think he even does a running R2 and like he's doing all
Running
this
L1,
stuff.
yeah. Yep.
Or L1, yes.
Yep.
And it's just like, wow, it's just, he went forward. He didn't even want to be put in that position. And I got to
Yeah.
say, brilliant on Witnake to just recognize that and be like, I don't even want to be there. I'm just going to get ahead. I'm going to stay ahead and I'm going to win.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep, exactly. Witnake definitely had Dimka's number on that one for sure. But not to diminish anything that Dimka did there, because
No.
exceptional adaptation in the second match after the first one being so lopsided, and then to be able to force even a reset there was absolutely incredible. And just that that offensive posturing that Dimka was able to have even when he was so low on HP. That was absolutely exceptional, dude.
That's one thing that you can't really teach. You know what I mean? Like you can't like to be able to have, and you keep saying it's confidence. It's not necessarily confidence, but it's like you have to be composed in a lot of these situations.
Exactly.
Where, because like anytime someone gets hit by a bunch, and I do it too sometimes, where you get hit by a bunch of stuff or something unexpected happen, then you panic roll. If you can compose yourself and not make the next mistake, and just slow it down. But that's hard. Like you could tell everybody panic rolls at some point. No one's immune to it.
Of course, yeah, and yeah, it just becomes exacerbated too when like speaking to what you were saying. It's just like when you're up against a setup that does so much damage and is so oppressive, so aggressive, it's easy to just like have your mental just break and then be like, okay, what can I actually do? And not just accept defeat immediately, because it's so difficult to find your way out of that situation. But like you said, retaining that sense of composure through those incredibly dangerous scenarios is absolutely paramount.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Because again, like at least for me, like when the unexpected happens, like how the hell did that hit me or something? Then I'm like, my whole game is just thrown off. I'm like, I had a plan, and now it's destroyed because latency or some nonsense that happened because Elden Ring, right?
Yep.
And
Exactly.
it's like, oh, I attacked and I got the stupid like reflection hit, deflection, and I'm like, it was supposed to stun him. I had this set up to where he gets stunned, and then I do the next thing, and now I don't know what to do because the whole game crapped on me.
Yeah,
Like,
and that is Elden Ring sometimes, dude. But before we head on over to the ad break here, that is inbound very shortly, I just want to give a shout out to End of the Lion. thank you so much for
That's
the
it.
tier 1 resubscription for 6 months in a row, dude. Really appreciate all of the love and support, and that goes for everybody who donates and goes towards supporting the den and what we do here.
Yeah.
It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. And
you know what else is going to support us? A dumb ad break. That's what's going to support us. Cool.
Yep, now please enjoy this.
Yeah, exactly.
And my word, what a thing to come back to. We have Halvard, the generous donator himself, dude, gifting 10 tier 1 subs to the den. Looks like those went out to...
With the steel chair. Yeah, I know. You made Enda look like a little something, you know?
Yeah, dude, true.
It's just like, yeah, Enda's like, yeah, I want to support. And then Halvard's like, oh, yeah, you want to support? We'll see.
Absolutely exceptional, dude. And once again, so deeply appreciative of all of the love and support that everybody shows for the den. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All this stuff goes back to you guys. Like, it goes back to the like, prize pool and stuff like that. Like, we don't get it. Like, it goes back to you guys.
It goes directly back into making what we do better.
Yeah. So just know that it's going to a good place, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Not me.
Just pocketing that shit and running, dude. Yeah. But without further ado, we are in to the first match of the semifinals. I hope everyone watching is hyped. I know I am, dude. For this match in particular, we have Ruth against Space, two of the absolute best that EU has to offer here.
Ranked 1, ranked 4.
Yes.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, Ruth is not using the shunter here, using the what is that? Short spears? I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, we'll have to see as time goes on here, but yeah, I'm definitely interested how each player is going to approach each other, because they definitely have a tremendous amount of respect for each other as players, and especially when it comes to the playstyle. You know, it's going to be, I have a feeling, once again, like you predicted earlier, Dante, that this first match here is going to be a very much feeling each other out, seeing how each other is playing here. But without further delay, let's get right into it, dude. Count it down.
Yes. Semifinals, best 3 out of 5. 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. I do think this first match might be wild. Ruth is bizarre in that they constantly change their weapons.
Yeah.
But it seems to work out for them. For some reason.
Yeah, Ruth is a very proficient player with a variety of different setups, which is not typically the case across the board within the competitive scene. You typically see a player stick with their guns, you know, the thing that they're most comfortable with, and they just hone their ability on that thing in particular. And the fact that Ruth is able to shuffle between so many different things.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful hard read on the neutral L1 there on the side of Space Ranger with a jumping L1 of his own. Absolutely incredible. And both players, once again, playing incredibly safe here, trying to bait out the panic rolls to get some...
You know what's...
damage.
I was just saying, you know what's funny about this is Ruth hasn't gotten a hit yet. Ruth is just getting brutalized right now. I do think Ruth will probably change their weapon, but... This is funny. Ruth, I think, is actually giving too much respect to Space Ranger, which is funny because sometimes when you dumb things down because everybody thinks at a high level you're always going to do this or that move because it is technically better. If you do like technically bad timings, sometimes it catches good players because they think you're going to do something else. Yeah. So mix it up, Ruth, because Ruth is trying to get the roll catch, but Space Ranger knows that. Yeah. So just attack kind of stupidly, as dumb as that sounds. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, like stop going for roll catches and just try to dish out that aggression, mainly. And a beautiful roll away on the side of Space Ranger to not panic roll and get roll caught on that flame strike.
Really on
point right now. And we see a little bit of a wall bounce there on the side of Ruth, but does manage to actually land some damage with the neutral L1 on the side of Ruth there, but unfortunately Space is just so confident on the PSGS in particular, And with PSGS being on the verge of being unreactable and being completely unreactable with the blending that he is so keen on dishing out at every opportunity here. Please excuse the wrong replay.
I just love in the chat that someone says second longest great spear versus shortest spear. Who wins?
Dude,
I mean, I'm going to expect Ruth to change. I don't know why Ruth changed away from the Shunter. I think the Shunter should win that matchup, although obviously Space Ranger is extremely good at this game. Space Ranger only has one win, by the way.
Yes, indeed.
That was only the first match.
Yep. And
so,
it'll be interesting because, and being that there's no respecs in between rounds, that is something that is not allowed here. Ruth cannot go back to the Shunter because they are on pure decks at this point.
Oh,
and
what are they doing?
It looks like Ruth is swapping to potentially power stance straight swords there.
Oh, no.
To potentially combat Space Ranger on the power stance Silurias. So without further ado, we will go in here.
All right, let's count it down. 3, 2, 1. Let's see if Ruth can bring this one back, make it competitive. The last one, I mean, I do think Ruth was just outmatched. Obviously, Space Ranger's like one of the best players, so it's not like he wouldn't be able to make the match competitive anyway, but I do think it seemed like the short spears were not as good.
Yeah, not against Space Ranger's level of spacing and just comfortability with that setup in particular, because he's fought against it so much. Beautiful spacing on the side of Ruth there to avoid that running R1.
Yeah, rare punish. I mean, you don't see a lot of punishes at this high level, honestly.
No, especially not against a setup like PSGS. It's very, very difficult. But gets the backswing multiple times there, does go for the rollout. Unfortunately, it probably would have been a better opportunity for Ruth to just keep mashing there. But what I will say is that Ruth on the power stance straight swords here does have the crouching attack pressure of the crouching R1 on the one-handed straight sword, which can be absolutely devastating.
Yeah, I like it. Now, the errant flaming strike, I do like it sort of pre-attacking, because if somebody runs into you or jumps into you, you get that combo, I believe.
Yep.
So I like just throwing it out there. I would like to see some unlocked with it, though, in close range, to try to get either a late hit for the combo or an early hit, just to stop any pressure.
Agreed. Yeah, and definitely, like somebody in chat just mentioned here, I will tell you what, I'm very impressed by Space's spacing, and I completely concur in that regard. Space is absolutely, just once again with this erratic movement, it makes it so difficult for Ruth to know when Space is actually going to go for an attack here. And once again, Space's unbelievable prowess in the spacing department is just absolutely unparalleled. And there have been, though, a few times throughout this match in particular where Ruth has hard read the aggression attempt on the crouching L1 on the side of Space Ranger and is able to whiff punish with the neutral L1 of the straight sword.
Nice
beautiful jumping L1 on the side of Ruth there, does get caught with the jumping R1 and the Great Spear into the crouching L1 for the finish. My word.
I don't know why
Ruth went back
in. Yeah, I mean, Ruth was winning the fight, actually doing well with the timing. What Ruth was doing, as you see right there, Ruth does a lot of pre-attacking, which, especially in a matchup like this, I really appreciate, and I think that's very smart, because you want to just either stop the aggression or stop them before they can do it. Sometimes you can make them not do something, which allows you to do something. It's kind of like a mind game situation. It's like if you throw out a random parry, then they got it in their head, like,
I know, dude.
They can parry.
Yeah.
So
it completely
you do that
changes
with
the dynamic.
Yeah. Right here at the end, I thought it was a brilliant jump, by the way.
Yeah, incredible.
Shocking that Space Ranger didn't get that. Right here, almost dead. I don't know why Ruth went in. I would have backed away there, personally. But again, with the way Space Ranger moves and it's spastic, you actually don't know if they're running away or if they're just circling to get back in, or...
Agreed.
It's tough, man. It really is tough to see. Like, my eyes are not. I don't know. It's like crazy.
It's moving too fast for the eyes to see, dude. Yes, but without further ado, we will get into the potentially match point of this set here. Count it down, my friend.
Let's do it. Ruth down 0-2. Space Ranger 3-2-1. Fight.
Okay.
Can Ruth bring it back?
Yeah, potentially here. Oh, and we see a little bit of a potentially barbaric roar on straight sword to counteract and come out ahead on the trades against Power Stance Great Spear in particular here. And a beautiful jumping L1 attempt on the side of space. Presumably, and a little bit of exceptional pressure coming up from the side of Ruth there. Not forcing the panic against space, but definitely getting him on the back foot there.
Yeah, in that situation, I like actually doing a running L1 when someone has their back turned. You don't get, obviously, the backstab attempt, but the running L1 is actually pretty decent on getting at least one hit. It's tough to
that's fair.
that.
Oof, absolutely brutal. And Ruth trying to outspace the Space Ranger on those, but unfortunately just not able to find their way in against the PSGS.
Nice.
Beautiful roll catch on the side of Ruth, though, into the Flame Strike, retaining a little bit of passivity there, and I don't blame Ruth in the slightest for going about it in that particular way. We actually saw a neutral R1 while using power stancing. Wow, incredible, dude.
Is that faster? Do you get a faster attack on that?
I do believe the neutral R1 on straight sword is faster than the power stance L1 by, I believe it's around 2 frames, and we see a crouching L1 actually for the roll catch. Space narrowly does not get caught by the flaming strike there. Gets clipped by a little bit of a half hit on the PSGS of the crouching L1 there. Ruth trying to keep up the barricade.
The panicking
flame strike. A little bit of another
that range was crazy.
Rolling L1, but hard reads come out from the side of Space Ranger, reading the neutral jump, as it were. And has Space a little bit on the back foot there. Space is scared of that neutral, or that crouching R1 rather. And if Ruth can utilize that a little bit more to their advantage here, but unfortunately Ruth is in 2-shot range.
It's close. Yeah, I mean, maybe 3. I don't know. We'll see. Blue Feather's crazy.
Yeah, that is true, man.
This is definitely there it is.
The trade into the Flame Strike, and also the trade into the jumping R1. Ruth is still alive on her last legs at around the 40 HP mark here. Definitely needs to play exceptionally passive to make use of end space, showing his exceptional hard reads and spacing capabilities to just be able to completely hard read his opponent.
This is so dangerous. Wow.
Beautiful rollaways on the side of space.
Confidence on Ruth right there.
Unbelievable, dude. And this is the thing. What Ruth needs to do here, definitely.
Oh, there it is. Just the trade.
And goes for the rolling L1 into the trade. Yeah.
That literally shows you like top level PvP right there. I mean, that just the fact that you can stay alive for that long with no health versus an absolute killer like Space Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Is insane. And again, Ruth played really well considering, I don't even know because Power Stance Trace Swords are kind of crazy, but like the range is on the side of the Great Spears, right? Or am I don't know.
Yes, indeed. I don't believe Ruth is on Slenders. I believe they're on Lightning Broadswords, which have like an insane damage discrepancy between Noble Slenders and that respectively. But Slenders are almost like twice as long. So who knows?
You
like
saw
if it was on the Slenders. Yeah, dude, exactly. Right. Like I don't know. I don't know if it would have made the difference to be able to outspace and whiff punish there with the Slenders.
I don't think in that matchup, actually. I don't think that would have been the difference. But it did show you because Ruth got hit a lot. There was a lot of hits, but then didn't have to hit as many times on, the attacking end. But I really liked the way Ruth was playing as far as pre-attacking, just throwing out the flaming strikes, trying to, sort of not necessarily bait, but trying to catch Space Ranger. But then again, Space Ranger, brilliant on Space Ranger's move by not falling for it. He never got caught on it once, I don't think.
Yeah, no,
didn't
Space's
run into
rolls
anything.
were exceptional. Yeah.
So, I mean, a brilliant 3-0. Not really telling of the story. I do think it was closer than that.
I
And
agree.
maybe
I agree.
save for the first match. First match
Right.
was
Yes.
Space
Right.
Ranger
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
took
Yep.
control of that.
Hmm.
But I mean, very close third
Yeah.
match. I mean, whew, that's a tough matchup.
Exceptionally well fought from the side of Ruth to be able to combat, especially like because Space was just on his A game too. He was playing so well, even supplementally to using a setup that's already incredibly powerful in the first place. But for
Yeah.
Ruth to even like give him a run for his money, that was an incredible showing, especially in those last two matches.
Yeah, with that setup too. And I honestly think it would have been the whole thing would have been different if Ruth had Shunter, because Ruth would have been able to be aggressive in that instance. But in this instance, Ruth had to really worry about the spastic movement and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
range and the speed
Hmm.
of that. So it's kind of I mean, I think Ruth just plays for fun, honestly. I don't like, obviously you don't want to lose, but I think Ruth is all about
Yeah, dude. And
the
yeah,
fun.
that's something that I was saying earlier too. Like I have a tremendous amount of respect for Ruth in particular because they're always constantly experimenting with new and interesting things. You know, I just that hits home for me because that's what I always try to bring to the scene too. You
Oh
know, and
yeah.
I love to see that in particular because showcasing more things is definitely incredibly important, especially in a competitive scene, to keep it, fresh and interesting.
Fresh, yeah,
Yeah.
new, interesting. It's cool though. I mean, like even when you were in the tournament with the Beast Jaw,
Hmm.
people's minds were blown. They're like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, this guy's out first round." And it's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Okay, this guy's out second round. I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is going on here?" And then
Yeah.
like, even for some people, you bring out some weird stuff and you make it work. They're like, "Oh, now I'm a fan of this person. Now I
Right.
want to check
Yeah.
out their stream, see what they're
Right.
doing."
Dude,
And
right?
then so on and so forth. Like, I don't know, it is
Exactly.
cool. I'm plus in sometimes you can't really test things out unless it is a more competitive situation anyway. Because
Yeah,
how are you
I
supposed
agree.
to know? Like, you go in the
Hmm.
Coliseum, you're fighting randoms.
Yeah,
It's not going to
dude.
be the same
It's
damn thing at all.
no, it's not
So
a good
you'll never be able
representation.
to do, some stuff. But
Yeah, dude, right. But no, like one thing I wanted to shout out to, like on the side of Space Ranger, is just that, yeah, once again, Space Ranger is definitely feeling himself today. I'm definitely looking forward to the grand final here. Whether it's Space Ranger versus Eli or Space Ranger versus Witnake. Either
Whitney's
way,
been
it's
playing
going to
really
be,
well.
yeah, dude, I completely agree. So it's going to be an exceptional finale to this tournament regardless. But moving on down, the next match, of course, as everybody can see here, is Eli versus Witnake, that being the second match of the semifinals there.
Yeah, yeah, best 3 out of 5 here. I'm curious because we didn't really, in a weird way, we didn't really get to see that much of Eli because a lot of the matches they won were fairly fast.
Yeah,
So we didn't get to see how they really, how adversity affects them or
yeah,
what
I
happens
agree.
if something bad happens necessarily, and then they
Yeah,
have
that's
to
a
sort
really
of come
good
back.
point, dude. Yeah, I completely agree. And then, of course, like you mentioned, Witnake is just has been on his A game as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that matchup in particular matches up, dude. For lack of a better word, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. We shall see. Witnake. I've seen him be really good in instances, and then in some matchups, it's like I don't know. Sometimes maybe it's just the weirdness of someone new can make him fall, but I don't know. I call
Yeah.
him no mistake, Witnake. Is
Yo.
that the version we're gonna see here?
Yeah,
Or are we
agreed.
gonna see, the guy who maybe took a couple weeks off, maybe he was coming back? I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
dude,
we'll,
we'll
we'll
see.
see.
Yep. All right, dude, heading into this match here, dude. Go ahead and count it down, my friend.
All right. Eli, blue, Witnake, red. Let's count it down. 3, 2, 1. Semifinals, best 3 out of 5. Let's do it.
All right,
So
and we see the
great
physics
spears.
coming out from both players here, and then we see power stance straight swords on the side of Witnake, which is a setup he is intimately familiar with. We'll see if he actually is utilizing a lot of the crouching R1s, crouching L1s, the mix-ups, as it were, that it now possesses, and we definitely do
There it
see that
is.
on display there, but unfortunately does get clipped with the power stance crouching L1 yet again.
Oh, the spacing.
Yeah, beautiful on the side of Eli there. And honestly, Witnake making all the right reads against the power stanced Great Spear Vortex.
Oh, I would have liked to see some attack. Oh, nice. Can he get him in Vortex? Got him. Doing some nice swivel tech by Eli right here.
Yeah.
Going there. Not as spastic as Space Ranger. Space Ranger's all over the place, but it still works. It still sort of hides the attacks, and I think that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
for
something
sure, dude.
You need to learn that if this is going to be a main weapon you're going to use. You got to learn it.
Yes. Yeah, and
So
PSGS is a very involved setup because, of course, you have the input drops surrounding the crouching mechanic as a whole, which is very, very tough to actually work around. So your timing has to be impeccable with when you're actually utilizing it. And, of course, you only have a limited amount of time. Beautiful. Oh, my word.
Oh, the Ash of War.
Insane
Nice
turnaround, but an answer back on the side of Eli with the power stance jumping L1. And oh my word, the trading back and forth between these two is absolutely incredible. And Witnake was able to turn around that drastic lead. That
was crazy.
Oh my word. Because Eli had a significant HP advantage here, and all it took was one L1 into that sword dance to bring it back.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, no one uses the damn, I forgot the name. The Ring of Favor. What's the talisman?
Erdtree's favor. Yep.
No one uses that. Is that because of the rune arc? Is that the deal?
Potentially, yeah. I know a lot of people like to run it at the start and then swap off it to regain the benefit of Ritual Sword and Shield after they get hit once. But other than that, yeah, it's not really too mandatory for builds across the board.
You know what's interesting is I think Witnake was reading that Eli was sort of looking for the roll catch. And
every time. Yep.
Yeah, and so if Eli just was more aggressive at the end, Eli would have taken that. If Eli just attacked, kept attacking.
100%.
So it's one thing to look at if you're Eli, to go in here and be like, all right, they were attacking after hits done. They weren't going for the roll.
Yep.
So mix that up sometimes and not only look for it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one thing that Eli was doing. He was actually, like you just said, he was delaying those crouching L1s and going for the delayed vortex more so than the actual buffered vortex, right? So I wonder if he'll definitely lean more towards the buffered vortex this time around. But without further delay, the countdown is inbound. 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go.
Yeah, and that sword dance to relieve some of the pressure, as we've seen previously. Witnake only used it once, but it worked to perfection there. And sometimes, especially if you're in a corner in your bad spot, I mean, again, you're like a caged animal. It's like, you have
very dangerous
out there.
Oh, beautiful catch on that over-aggression on the side of Eli there to be able to shut that down. Beautiful outspace on the jumping L1 there, and Eli is definitely has the offensive pressuring and showing his prowess with Power Stance Great Spear in particular here. And of course, Eli definitely on the back foot, but Witnake actually decides to give Eli zoning pressure there.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
To swap the talismans there, it looked like.
Yeah, potentially.
But yeah, I like the way Witnake was aggressive, and you saw the pressure really. Eli did not handle that well. They were stuck on the wall. They were panicking.
Yeah.
I think Eli needs to be aggressive. I like this.
The delay timings on Eli in particular, he just knows exactly when Witnake is going to roll, and Eli definitely had Witnake's number there. My word.
See, there we go. Round. We'll see it again, but you see at the end, Eli switched it up and he did 2 attacks in a row quick.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of these, especially these crouch attacks of these great spears, are so dangerous, is because you have that basically 50-50, it seems.
Yeah.
sort of getting out of it. So Eli played that really well. Got ahead early and fast. It's funny because I actually thought Witnake should then do that, be more aggressive, knowing that Eli is going for the roll catch. But maybe they thought they were going to not be aggressive or be too aggressive and keep attacking. And that's the mind games, I don't know. I don't know what's going on through the head, but the mind games is, do I attack or are they going to be too aggressive to where I can't attack, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And I love it. I love that.
Yeah, that dynamic back and forth,
part.
dude. Yeah, it's what it's all about, and I like that this update has made that more prevalent, where it's just like it's your turn, it's my turn, it's your turn, it's my turn, and one person can't just rush down the other person because they're using a particular setup anymore, Every player has to be cognizant of the fact that everything breaks in one hit, and therefore they have to respect that. And respect is actually back in this game, which I absolutely adore.
I agree. Certainly for the first hit situation, it's just like, I like it. I like that. But we're here 1-1. I don't know. Do we see a switch for Witnake? I can't actually see, but we might see a switch.
We'll
no. He's still got the straight swords. The count is down.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it on.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like either player is changing anything, and I don't think they should based on previous matches.
Yep.
Seems fairly even.
Yeah, and we're seeing it just like you predicted. Eli's going for that mix-up now. He's going for the buffered vortex more often than not with this now, and especially, man, Eli's spacing here and his ability to be able to whiff punish, and it's just absolutely impeccable.
Yeah, Eli's playing really well. I don't know. I would like to say I favor the power stance spears here in this matchup, but again, we see the power and the comeback potential and just the blending of dual straight swords. Yeah. Especially with someone like Witnake, who is, he really is good at spacing. It's just, I don't know. Did they fight this matchup before?
Right.
Eli's really chewing up.
Ooh, and caught him on the tally swap there. But it's very dangerous on the side of Eli because, yes, Witnake is one-shotted, but red tier stone. Power stance straight swords are nothing to mess with.
I don't know. I would kind of go ham and just attack if I was Eli and try to get a trade, end it. Because you don't want to get caught
catch on the side.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught in the roll catch, man. Just attack.
Yeah, exactly. And Eli definitely needs to attack and go for the trade before it's too late, before he can't anymore. Beautiful jumping L1 from the side of Witnake. It gets staggered into the true combo of ESGS. That was unbelievable. If that was intentional poise counting there, which I don't believe.
I don't know. See, I don't know how it works now post patch at all. Because, I usually do what Witnake does. Those don't really do that much damage, so I don't care about them as much. I'll just attack into you.
Yep.
But then he got hit by, I guess we can actually count it, but he got hit by, 4 or 5 of them. It stunned him into, then he dies. That's crazy. But yeah, this
Absolutely
is right
here.
That I don't necessarily agree with the slow approach when you're one hit left with this health benefit, the health advantage, because I don't know. For me, go for the trade because you still win. Go for the attack and just get it over with. But we'll see here. One, was it 2, 3?
And both of them came out at the same time, and that broke his passive poise, and the true comboed into it.
Wow, I can't believe that.
Insane way to finish it out.
Yeah, Eli's up 2-1 in the semifinals. Could be match point for Eli. Count him down. Let's see what happens.
All right, let's see how it goes. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Okay, and both players obviously going for the physics yet again. Haven't seen much of a flask punish coming out from the upper rounds here in the tournament thus far. Potentially we'll see it in the bronze match and the grand final here, but both players definitely, once again, playing very, very safe, and Witnake knows he has to play extraordinarily safe here. especially because Eli's spacing is absolutely exceptional here. And he knows that if he throws out an attack, Eli is exceptionally good at being able to hard read to the degree where he can just whiff punish without fail.
I do like the jumping R1 there. I like that mix up for the range to try to cause something to happen. I mean, Eli's been making Witnake on his back foot most of this match. Ooh. Witnake gets a couple hits there, gets the Millicent's prosthesis and Rotwing buff.
Yeah, and man, Witnake is actually, he's attacking, he's hard reading the aggression attempts on the side of Eli. That's something that we haven't seen from Witnake thus far in the tournament, or in this round rather.
Yeah. But again, it can come back. You know, you get a little combo happening with the crouch attack here.
Yep, a little bit of a vortex, and and we're seeing a mirror damn near on the talisman front too, from the side of both players. Of course, barring the Great Jar's talisman on the side of Eli, because Solarias are so heavy indeed. But it's very, very easy to get that increased damage with Millicent's and Rotten Winged, being that they're both running power stance setups. Gets a little bit clipped and gets caught by the backswing, but a little bit overzealous on the side of Witnake to go a little bit ham, a little bit too hard on the aggressive side.
No rolling attacks though, huh?
Yeah, right.
I would have went for him, because you see the chase that happens after basically every exchange.
Yeah.
Oh, and just 2 L1s, and that does it.
Man, the hard reads that were coming out from the side of Witnake there was absolutely incredible. My word. Like, Witnake to be able to turn that, around that quickly, and more of like what I mean by that is just from the last rounds with Eli dominating so much with the PSGS Vortex and all of that, even mixing up with the delayed Vortex as opposed to the buffered Vortex, all of that. And still, supplementally, Witnake is still able to adapt on the fly and even mid-match to actually shut down the aggression attempts.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult when you get in that spot where you're on the wall, you just got crouch hit, right? You know, you just got hit, you just got stunned, you lost your spacing, you don't have many places to go. And for Witnake to be in that position multiple times and to get out of it, you know, either unscathed or just barely hit, is incredible. And to come back and win it, I mean, that's amazing. So here we go. This is it. This is the last of the semifinals. The loser of this goes against the Terminator, Ruth, and then the winner goes in the finals against Space Rangers. So count us down for this. Possibly, unless the draw happens. Final semifinals
which match is always a possibility. But here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
So a question, if you get the proc on the Rotwing and the Millicents, if you take the talismans off, does that buff go away?
It still persists, even after. Okay. But the buff doesn't last that long, baseline. So it's not really ideal or optimized to swap those out after receiving it. So it's better that you just keep them on the full fight, so that way you're able to reap the rewards the whole way through. Beautiful pressuring on the side of Witnake here. He actually is able to have Eli on the back foot the vast majority of the time in this final match of the set here, which was definitely contrary in the earlier rounds.
I don't know. I think Eli should press L2 to see what happens. You know what I mean?
Dude, I agree. I think so too, dude. Dude, and that's the thing, dude. Like, Solaria's Ash, I was actually just testing it last night. Oh, does a little bit of a cheeky running L1, the best attack in the game, of course.
That's so bad.
But beautifully so, he did not get punished as such for whiffing that, unfortunately. And we're seeing a little bit more of the delayed vortex, and Witnake is absolutely just shutting it down, going for the backswing even. Gets caught on the breakaway, though, with a roll catch with the crouching L1 on the side of Eli. Absolutely beautiful. In the corner here, into a jumping L1 with the half hit. Unfortunately, the full hit does not land, but goes for a crouching R1, tries to whiff punish on the side of Eli with a crouching L1 of his own, but Eli does not have his tier, and Witnake does. Beautiful.
This is it. The crouch attack. And Witnake just was on it, man.
He was
Witnake got
indeed.
hit. He got like hit maybe twice.
Yeah.
Once on a bad roll.
Yep.
And I think once he got hit while he was in the air, which I don't really count as a like roll, but like
Right.
Witnake was on the ball. I mean, my
Mhm.
man is cracked out on this one.
Yes, indeed.
He's-
And once again, that ability to adapt on the fly, even mid-match, was definitely on display. And he was showing that he knew he had Eli's number when it came to when Eli was going to go for the buffered attacks or the delays on them.
Yeah.
And we definitely saw that towards the end too. Like we'll see it right here coming up in the replay where Eli hits once, but then he goes for the delayed vortex, and then Witnake knew he was going to go for that, and then just mashed out of hit stun
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah,
and then rounded it out
the
with the
crouch
rope head.
attack.
Yep.
I mean, what you knew you were gonna get because he's by the wall and he doesn't have enough room to get
Yep.
away. So
Mhm.
it's like brilliant, just awareness too on the arena, on obviously his opponent. But what's interesting is I actually would have liked to see Space Ranger versus Eli in that mirror match because they play it a little bit differently, right? So
Yeah.
Space Ranger is sort of stays back a little bit,
Mhm.
and I would say Eli sort of tries to go forward a little bit, but Space Ranger has more spastic movement. And I'm
Yeah.
curious in the finals, as we'll see, Space Ranger versus Witnake, how Witnake deals with that spastic type of movement and that different
Yeah.
type of play style with the same weapons versus what Eli
That's
just did.
that's actually a really good point, dude. Yeah, I completely agree. That's going to be very exciting because I wonder because like you said with Space's erratic movement and things like that, Space is way better at actually blending and just the outspaces. I don't want to take anything away from Eli,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
that's
fair,
not what
because
we're saying.
Eli's spacing in the last match was absolutely incredible. To be able to whiff punish something like PSSS is absolutely insane.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like, but yeah, no, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic going into the grand final with Witnake against Space Ranger. But unfortunately,
Yes.
we have yet another party crashing moment, dude, with an
Yes.
ad break, dude. So everyone sit tight, dude. Go get some drinks, take a bathroom break, do what you need to do,
Yep,
and we
yep.
will see you shortly.
And we are live once again. We
Yes.
are at the bronze match with my co-host with the most, Frosty. Frosty, how are you enjoying everything?
Dude, I'm having such a good time, man. I'm just dude, and like honestly, I couldn't have asked for like a better showcase of fights too. Like all of the fights thus far that we've seen have been absolutely exceptional, dude. Like entertaining in one way or the other, pure skill being on
Yeah.
display, whatever it may be, dude. It's just been an absolute blast.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I thought the first round was very dynamic. I mean, we had so many different matchups, setups, weapons, all that stuff. And now, obviously, as we start to go on, we start to see things sort of cool down in that aspect. We're not going to see Beast Jaw in here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we do have Ruth, who will probably change up what they're gonna do because they like. I get a feeling out of all these players, Ruth is probably the one who probably plays for the fun of it most out of most of these players, if not all of them. I
Right.
really enjoy the way they play, how they play, what they use. They don't seem to take it too seriously, which is what I love. That you
Yeah,
can still
man.
be a high level player and not take it as seriously and still be competitive. And I love that. And that's what I see here with some of these players, Ruth specifically. But we're going to see it best 4 out of 7 with Ruth and Eli. And we are ready. I want to see a different arena. Can we see like some other thing here? Like
we
this is starting to get like Pontiff here, guys. I don't
we
want
we
to.
may see whoever ends up losing, they may want to switch it up. We will see, but this is going to be a very interesting match. We'll actually get to see what the Shunter versus Soluria's matchup looks like here. I know you were definitely wanting to see Ruth play
Yeah,
Shunter into Space's PSGS.
I honestly think that would have gave Ruth the best chance to win there. Because
Yeah,
Ruth,
yeah.
you can be aggressive with that hyper armor in this, and I think that is, especially for someone like Ruth, who I think has an aggressive playstyle generally. That's what you want. You want that. You want to be able to go forward and just like deal with it. So we're gonna see it. Count us down anyway.
Yes, indeed. All right. Without further ado, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. All right.
Yeah,
and one thing I did want to say too, real quick, is like just to play off exactly what you said. It's very interesting.
Oh, there we go.
Ruth going two-handed dagger. What? Okay. The debate, hardcore, dude. I wonder if they'll remain on this. Oh my god, the spacing is absolutely impeccable on the side of Ruth there. Does get caught with the vortex there a little bit too late on the side of Eli there with the delayed vortex to be able to land the roll catch, but a little bit of a flame strike action into the two-handed R1 of the dagger, and Dagger's actually able to shut down PSGS in at least a little capacity here.
Yeah, this is amazing. Is that you can have bleed with flaming strike?
You cannot.
You cannot. Okay, so I was just wondering about that because I think I've seen Ruth use a bleed dagger. Dagger before.
Yeah, dude. Ruth's play with the bloody off dagger in the last EU FOC was absolutely incredible, and the aggression that was on display there.
You know, out of all the daggers, as far as I know, this is not the dagger to use if you're going for damage. But I mean, there's a lot of hits happening here. Oh,
that's very true.
Strike. I didn't notice that. Wow, that was delayed.
This is very, very interesting. The fact that this is as close as it is here. We see the tear proc coming out from the side of Ruth. Unfortunately, Eli got a little bit tripped up there with the neutral L1, which what I assume was supposed to be a crouching L1, but nonetheless.
Now, R2, does the R2 stun at 109 with a dagger?
It does. It breaks 133.
Yeah, I think not all the daggers, because I don't know which dagger this is. I don't remember which daggers have. There's a stabby R2 that actually is pretty fast, and you can.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe Ruth is on the misery cord, but maybe not.
It looks too small. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what dagger they're actually using right now. This is very interesting.
This is close though.
Yeah.
What's weird though, it's like 3 or 4 hits for Ruth to win, whereas 1 hit for Eli to win.
Yeah. But
the flaming strike though could get a flaming strike. Could see a tie here.
Oh my word. And is able to actually round out the match with the cheeky running R2 there on the side of Ruth, and Ruth is definitely having some fun with the quirky setups here coming out, which I love to see.
And it's, I mean, and again, we don't want to take anything away from Eli, and it's a weird matchup to say the least. I mean, I don't know how often.
Well, it's Eli's just jarring.
Yeah, it's like how often has Eli faced two-handed a strange dagger, not a damaging dagger. This is not Earth Steel.
Right? Yeah. No.
Like this doesn't have a lot of damage on it. So and not bleed either, which is also fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. Like I don't even know what you. Maybe this is the ultimate mind game.
Yeah.
Just threw Eli off.
Yeah, and that's the thing, dude. There's definitely something to be said about a player who just is willing to bring out something that you would never expect, like a who does that scenario. You know what I mean? And Ruth definitely has that aspect to her play, which is very, very cool to see. And not only that, but to pull that out and actually take a round. You know,
so really which dagger is this? Because I'm terrible with the.
It looks like just the base
visuals.
Dagger. It's just the normal dagger.
Is it the base dagger?
Yeah, it's a fire infused normal dagger.
That's
beautiful
hilarious.
Zoom in there too, Shell. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's really wow. All right, well, count us down. I don't even know what to say.
All right, looks like they're sticking to their guns thus far. But all right, counting it down. 3, 2,
it's
1.
the dagger.
Go. Here we go.
So now it's funny because like people kind of sleep on daggers a little bit. I definitely in certain aspects with damage, definitely that's concerned. But you can make daggers at least interesting. I mean, Ruth is, as you would say, playing exceptionally well.
Yes,
but
indeed.
daggers aren't as bad as people think. I do think power stance daggers are pretty terrible, in my opinion. But look at that, just like whomping on him.
Yeah,
Not even
dude.
using
Well,
rotting either.
Yeah, it's a beautiful setup too because of how fast the neutral R1 and R2 are, and then running it with Flame Strike, which if they're panic rolling the almost near unreactable neutral R1 and R2, then they're going to get caught by Flame Strike every single time, right?
Yeah, I mean, could even. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Like, how do you combat this out aggress? But out aggress, you're gonna hit with Flame Strike, and it's yeah, I like it. I would like to see Ruth try to corner and then do a Flaming Strike, but they haven't really done that near the wall.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a pre-attack.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Eli on the back foot with a setup like PSGS because you can literally just trade here, but the mash keeps getting them.
Yeah.
Unreal. Two-handed dagger play from the side of Ruth, though. Exceptional.
I mean, this is almost like I don't want to say a knowledge check, but it's almost to that point of like, do you know this matchup? And it doesn't sound, or it doesn't look like it.
Oh, an actual neutral L1 landing. Unreal. Absolutely exceptional on the side of Eli there. It looks like both players are definitely in the red and blue feather range. Obviously, Ruth has a significant advantage with having the higher HP discrepancy with blue feather, of course, being able to tank at least one power stance great spear attack.
Versus how many hits Ruth has to have to kill. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very true. Makes it definitely tough here.
Oh,
Flame Strike just kills right through.
And then just Ruth has left the building, just immediately leaves. Like, nope, done. I've done my job. Oh, man. This is weird, though. Like, you know, it's funny because, like, a lot of people who maybe don't play as much, they might not understand that, you know, anyone would have a difficult time here against Ruth.
Yeah.
It's not that Eli's playing bad or anything. It's that it might be that Ruth is just that good, you know, at this point.
Essentially, man, it's always a tough thing to say too, and it's, you know, like there's something to be said about the bronze match in particular because both players know that they've lost the opportunity to win first and second, and then, you know, like players just tend to have fun a lot of the time in the bronze match too, and that's definitely what we're seeing on Showcase from Ruth. Obviously, because we didn't see the two-handed dagger anywhere in the tournament thus far, I think it's definitely most likely a case of that happening, right?
Yeah. You know, I've had tournaments in the past where I've seen people do that sort of, I don't know, make jest of it. But I think the difference here is that Ruth is actually trying to play and trying to win. Whereas I've seen in the past people sort of joke around and they don't even care.
Yeah, and that always feels bad, dude. And I definitely, that's dumb, dude. It's like, obviously still try your best, dude, you know. And like you said, Ruth is definitely still trying their best here, you know. It's obviously on display.
Yeah. All right, well, here we go. Ruth is up 2-0. It looks like Eli is swapping something. Fists? I don't know what they have.
I think that might be Qatar's. All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We shall see.
Here we go.
Now things are just getting wild, but
yeah, dude.
All right, count us down.
All right, on a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Let's go. Okay, so obviously no physic punish here again. Does try for the frostbite a little bit there. Goes for the flame strike immediately. A little bit of flame strike action. Oh, we're actually seeing bloody raptor talons come out from the side of Eli, which have an absolute brutal true combo now.
Yeah, what is the true combo?
So the true combo is, it has two. Well, you just saw it there. It's neutral R2 into follow-up R2.
Lead. Jesus
and it's
Christ.
Absolutely disgustingly strong, dude.
Yeah, it looks
as we just saw the entire HP bar of Ruth get melted away with two subsequent R2 true combos in a row, in addition to the bleed proc as well, which is absolutely just brutal.
I love Eli just attacking, because Eli's like, I'm fine. I know I can just do it.
Yep. And that's smart on the side of him too, because like, what he was having to deal with before with the two-handed dagger into the PSGS. It made it definitely difficult to actually get away from that, but in this circumstance, Eli knows.
Oh, the parry
a
attempt!
cheeky little parry, dude, but unfortunately it does not land here, and Ruth is definitely on the back foot.
that could be a one-shot. I don't know.
Yes, it could indeed, dude. It could indeed. But we're back here, and we see the swap to Starfist from the side of Eli too, rounded out with the unreactable first part of the running R1. We do see Ruth landing a little bit of a cheeky neutral R1 there and catches on the Starfist.
I think Ruth wants to set up this parry so badly.
I agree with that, dude. Oh my word.
There it is. See, I told you. I told you, man.
Yeah, and Eli knew, dude, and he walked behind before he initiated it. Definitely a valiant attempt on the side of Ruth there to go for the parry. Absolutely incredible. Obviously, like a very strong and smart swap on the side of Eli to go for the Raptor Talons there with the absolutely brutal true combo just melting away the HP bar of Ruth. And I wonder, now that Eli has shown that he is not opposed to swapping, I wonder if we'll see some more quirky matchups here back and forth with both players swapping what they're doing.
Yeah, Ruth is kind of crazy because Ruth is also changing into, I forgot which one, like the strength or dex talisman sometimes. I don't know if that's to get more damage or I don't know what the deal is, but I don't think I would doubt that their attributes are optimal for that dagger.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with the split damage on fire in particular is that, of course, the damage is calculated twice by default because that's the way split damage works, but everybody has innate, extremely high fire resist too, because vigor is the stat that governs your fire resist. So that definitely puts a deficit on the damage.
Oh, man. All right.
But we will move on into the fourth match here, dude. All right, let's get it underway. Count it down, my man.
All right, let's do it. Ruth versus Eli. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go, but let's count it down. 3, 2, 1. I mean, I feel like we might just see R1 mashing right in the center. Eventually.
Maybe,
that's it.
Dude. Yeah. It's tough to say because that's the thing. Yeah, Eli can face tank trade the first hit of the dagger because it has that incredibly low poise break value, and then he can just trade into the full true combo of the neutral R2s there. So Ruth has to be exceptionally careful here.
Now, can you get sword dance on the claws?
No, you cannot. But I believe you can put sword dance on dagger. Which is very interesting.
That is wild.
Right.
Wait, so you get hyper armor on that?
Yeah. I do believe so, unless I'm mistaken.
I wonder if you could do that with the Urge Steel. That would be fascinating, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, dude. Oh, that would be absolutely brutal. And we see the neutral R2s coming out here yet again for the true combo. And just rounding it out. The Raptor Talons are exceptionally strong for that R2 true combo alone. And like I was mentioning earlier, it's not the only true combo that they have. They have also the running R2 into R2 into R2.
Yeah, that's the combo I've seen.
Yeah,
I've seen that combo before. I was just wondering why people don't use some things more often. What is it? These are a little bit too slow. Is that the deal? Other things are just faster. They have more range.
You're
why,
talking
why don't
like,
you see this more?
Why don't you see the claws more?
Yeah, why don't you see this more?
Dude, honestly, I'm not sure because like claws, they've been buffed like a variety of different times over the past 2 updates in particular. And now they're stronger than they've ever been, especially with the Raptor Talons in particular. But honestly, I would say that the neutral moveset of two-handed claws is actually incredibly good, just even putting aside the true combo. Like, you have tons of pressure with the neutral running R1. You have the neutral R1 itself actually fully poise breaking too. Like, all of those things are actually forcing respect now. So it's actually a super fun setup overall.
Yeah, because these are the questions I ask. Like, it's the same thing with Reapers. Like, I think Reapers are
Yep.
actually pretty good, but
They
no
are.
one puts the time in.
I
And
know.
I just wonder if that's the same thing with some of these other weapons. Like, now I'm more comfortable with, whatever, the power stance spears or
Yeah,
whatever. So they
that's
don't
mainly
go
what it
towards
is.
that.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Well, 2-2 bronze match.
Yep.
Ruth Eli. Does look like we got a little bit of swapping, slorping and slopping. Let's try it up.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, without further ado, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. All right, and we're seeing, is that main hand halberd from the side of Ruth here? Or is that, oh, it's Punchbird. Oh my god, yes, dude.
Yeah, it's offhand.
Dude, I have been waiting to see Punchbird for so long in a tournament. It's one of the strongest setups in the entire game, dude. And I'm really interested to see what Ruth is able to do here. It's just drastically underrated, man. Like I don't know why people don't use it more.
That's the prosthesis.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, what was this, like a super good combo potential?
So the thing is, with what makes Punchbird so strong here is that the running R2 in particular, with Qatar, with the Qatar moveset that's shared by Veterans Prosthesis as well, it's the running R2 true combos into R2 again, and then if they roll away immediately, they get caught by the halberd, right? And also, if you land a halberd hit initially, then the R1 is a true combo as well. So like you just have so much at your disposal here. It's
unless they're far
insane.
away.
Yes, right.
Yes. Whip.
Of course. But no, exceptionally strong setup, and it's so cool to see Ruth actually bring this in.
But that's the same for some other instances, right? With the halberd, you can get a combo with thrusting sword and straight sword too, can't you? You get that?
I don't necessarily believe so. The only thing that combos with dagger, as far as I'm aware, or with halberd, is dagger.
Okay.
Besides this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Eli has a commanding lead right now.
Yes, indeed he does. And out come the scraps to potentially force, and we might see a parry.
Come on, parry
from the side of Ruth.
Come on.
Looks like we have Ruth on the Starfist too, which Ruth is exceptionally good with.
Yeah, one of the best players I've seen, especially on this PC less latency spacing format. One of the best I've seen.
Out comes the Glintstone scraps yet again.
Oh, one more hit. One more hit, dead.
4 HP, yep, for the finish.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that we got to see some interesting stuff. We didn't really see the combos as much. I mean, because like you said, 2 patches ago, that running R2 was already a combo. I mean,
yes,
I'm
indeed.
Self-proclaimed, everybody also knows this, greatest Cypherpata user in the world.
Yeah, dude.
So I already knew about that.
Yeah, dude, you got it.
One-hand and two-handed, actually, as well.
Yep.
So it's pretty weird.
Well, and now that the one-handed R1s break every time too, it makes, like you said, the Cypherpata and like all of the weapons that share that moveset in particular, that being the Veterans Prosthesis and the Qatar, respectively, like that makes the one-handed moveset way better too now. And like one thing that I want to point out, yeah, dude, it really, really is. And that's the other part about what makes the setup so strong in particular is that the crouching R1 for one-handed fist is one of the fastest frame attacks in the entire game. And the fact that breaks now too is incredible.
It is just extremely short is the problem.
Right, indeed.
That's so, I mean, you got to be kissing the other person when you get that. And that's the issue with him. But we see Eli's up 3-2 here. I love a lot of the weapons they're trying to use. It's cool to see that.
Yeah, man.
I do think Ruth is probably going to switch it up yet again.
Yeah, I think so too, man. And that's what I love so much about the bronze matches. Like I was saying towards the start, dude, it's just it's so cool to just kind of see the players just kick back and just try other things out, but all the while still being incredibly invested, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Could be match point for Eli to win. Ruth took early 2-0 lead and now, reversing it. We'll see what happens. Count us down.
All right, dude. Here we go. Potentially match point, as you said. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Okay, so moving into this match here, looks like we have Ruth on Starfist from the start here, not messing around, showing
Ruth might wanna win
Eli
now.
she means business here. Absolutely incredible. Okay, and of course we have the Flame Strike on both players' setups respectively here. A little bit of a neutral R2 coming out from the side of Ruth, potentially trying to catch the jump in attempt, and gets actually clipped by the fourth L1 in the straight sword chain there. Absolutely
got hit by
insane.
that? That was weird.
Yeah, absolutely gets roll caught twice by the Flame Strike. And of course, showcasing that Flame Strike is indeed, without question, one of the best Ashes in the game.
Oh man, that R2 though. That R2 is so devastating because then it
Yeah,
procs the rot wing, it procs the prosthesis.
Yep.
She doesn't have that though.
Right.
Actually has the swaddling cloth.
Right. Yep. And it's very interesting too. Of course, this is very interesting on the side of the rule committee to not consider fists power stancing, though they function exactly the same.
I was about to ask that. I'm like, weird.
Godskin is very much a oversight type beat and definitely needs to be restricted on fists as well. But barring that, we're definitely seeing definitely more reserved approach coming out from the side of Ruth here, but does manage to actually get out that nuclear R2 coming in for upwards of 600 damage.
Oppenheimer bomb. Oh my god.
Dude. 100% here, and we're seeing once again that reserved play coming out from the side of Ruth, and gets clipped with a half hit on the backswing there from the side of Eli with the
barely hit there. That looked like panic on top of
panic.
I
know, right? Yeah. And once again, you know, if Eli were on the Noble Slenders there, that would have connected fully. But with the broadswords in particular, the range discrepancy is quite large. But the AR difference is commendable. And actually, gets the anti-air with the frostpot into the R2? Are you kidding me?
That was brutal, man.
Wow.
What are the frames like? Do you know the frames above a frostpot? Like, how does that work?
So it's a sphere hitbox, right? So it can definitely anti-air, as we just saw there, but it's only for like a fraction of a second. And of course, Frostpot in particular has a little bit of a lingering hitbox. That's why a lot of the times you'll see a player perfectly roll it, but then they'll still get colded, right? But yeah, no, we definitely saw that on display. I can honestly say that that's the first time that I've ever seen somebody anti-aired with a frostpot in particular. Making history over here.
Yeah, I mean that, and then the R2 follow-up, which was awesome, but it's just like, that's the type of stuff that actually pisses me off. You're like, all right, so I jumped this, I should be fine. And then I get hit by it, you know, and I don't know if it's like what we saw versus what actually happened, because sometimes that could have been a direct hit.
Yeah,
he could have got direct hit in the air. So I don't know. Maybe that was like a weird visual glitch there or something.
Latency can definitely play a part in that in particular. But oh my word, taking it to the very wire, dude. With this bronze match, this is incredible. Match point for either player here. Go ahead and count it down.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, fire. Wow. I actually think Ruth is playing for money this one.
Beautiful punish on the glintstone scraps there. Nice. Obviously, Eli paying the price. Got hit for around 300 damage there, but is able to get the bolus off. And actually, we see the swap back to Raptor Talons on the side of Eli here. Very interesting. I wonder if Eli's going to be able to find his way in. We see the hot swap, actually. 2 power stance straight swords on the fly on the side of Ruth.
Well, see what happens with the stun, because these straight swords stun, so you can't just tank the hits and get the combo with the claws.
There may be actually some hit stun true combos as a result of that too, because the hit stun is so much higher on the R2s in particular. It's type 2 as opposed to type 1, which is what power stance straight swords have.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how do you alter your gameplay versus this matchup? Because we've seen like 12 different matchups, weapon matchups in this, in just this best 4 out of 7. So it's like you have to constantly keep altering how you play. You can't just, this isn't a dagger where you just R1 into every attack, or L1.
Exactly. Yep, and Eli's definitely, that's a great point that you bring up too, because Eli definitely has to be aware of that. It's not just a dagger anymore that you can just tank. But of course, as we're seeing right there, those R2s have little to no recovery as well. So it's very low risk, high reward.
Almost a double. Oh,
Guts
man,
is able to actually get the bolus off, but man, Ruth has a commanding lead here.
Yeah,
Eli definitely needs to play perfectly here. And once he gets into the red and blue feather range, which I do believe he is actually in right now, but unfortunately he has not. And the tear proc. Okay,
yeah, I thought it was already
going to see we're definitely going to see the swap here. And if Eli is able to land one of those true combos with the R2 in red and blue feather range, Ruth could just die. Like, straight up, especially if it's a bleed proc here. And we're seeing half of the HP gone. And of course, Eli is able to tank that as a result of the blue feather talisman here. And Ruth definitely needs to play exceptionally safe here to actually be able to not be massively punished.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's funny how this game works, right? Because, like, even though this looks insurmountable, you're like, well, no, they can come back. It's like, you get the bleed and you just come back. And
especially now, because Ruth is actually at low HP. Well, not technically, but could get potentially tier skipped here.
Whoa.
And
the bleed.
Yes, it was rapidly building there. My word.
The Blessed Dew is also putting in work for Eli right now.
Yes, indeed it is. Every 2 HP is effectively 4 HP as a result of the Blessed Dew with a 50% damage reduction.
Yeah, this is insane. So Eli might be 2 hits away again. It's close.
Yeah, and as Bevan pointed out in the chat, Ruth's tier actually ran out. This match has gone on for over the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, that's
3 minutes and 30 seconds here, and this is exceptionally dangerous for either player because Ruth is not in blue feather range yet and could potentially get killed just as a result of landing the true combo.
Yeah, I mean, you see when really, because this is the last match, you see how reserved everyone plays, and they they don't want to lose. And like, this is different. The rest of the matches, they were kind of just going in, but now they're like, all right, let's play the actual game.
Yep. Both players playing exceptionally reserved here, and of course, rightly so. Both player is in kill range. Of course, with Ruth allowing Eli this much space and this much freedom in the fight in particular. And unfortunately, Ruth got a pivot there and actually manages to get a half hit.
Wow, that range.
And unbelievably so, almost knocks Eli out of the match there. And all of that passivity and all of that waiting was just swatted right away and into the Starfist for the finish here, coming out for an attempt on the side of Ruth. And Ruth is able to actually round it out.
Good job, Eli, for sort of bringing that one back.
Yeah.
With the claws and playing extremely well. Extremely well. Ruth gets the victory, gets the prize money in the Festival of Combat bronze match. Taking nothing away from Eli. Eli's awesome. Played really well. Their spacing, I mean, was really... if you make it the semifinal, I mean, you have to have good spacing anyway to just...
okay.
But we gotta go, guys. We're out of here for this dumb ad break, and then we're gonna get back in here for the finals. So we'll see you in a minute.
Yep.
We are back, Frosty.
Yes.
Talk about what we just saw and talk about what we're seeing and where we're going.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And just one thing that I want to say about this last match in particular, like both players were definitely, they knew everything was down to the wire. They knew they had to play absolutely perfectly here. And of course, Eli was just a little bit overzealous on throwing out those neutral two-handed R2s because he was cognizant of the fact that they have like little to no recovery, so he can throw those out with reckless abandon to try to bait Ruth in. But as we saw just before there, Ruth actually caught him on the breakaway with the power stanced L1 of the straight swords there too.
And then the
And
trade at the end here.
Yeah, exactly. And Ruth, obviously, they know exactly when they have the advantage to just be able to trade in and round out the match there. And even once again, it's still exceptionally scary with a setup like Crow Talons or Raptor Talons in particular.
Yeah.
Because they can do so much damage, man.
Now, I have a question on that last attack because Eli was only hit with one of the fists, right?
Yes.
And then, obviously Eli died. But in that instance, if Eli had over, whatever amount of poise, I mean, that could have been swung the other way if they could tank that hit, right?
Yeah, well, you can typically always tank the first hit on the Starfist moveset, right? When doing the running R1. It's just the follow-up R1 because it's a two-piece attack, right?
Yep.
And the first one deals, I think it's like 24 or 34 passive poise damage, so it never breaks unless you're chipping. But then the follow-up one that hits way later always breaks, right? So you have the unreactable one that's tankable, and the second part of it is the full poise damage break. Yeah.
So it's like people, if they have a problem with it, they can like take the first hit and then know that they can roll the second one.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yep.
And then I was just trying to figure out what could Eli have done to maybe bait Ruth into getting into the claws and maybe having enough poise, trying to time the running attack right, only get hit by the first one.
Yeah, agreed. I would have liked to see more running R2s and running R1s from the side of Eli. Because like I was saying earlier, with two-handed claws, like not only the combo, but they're actually just good attacks baseline. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're chipping with the neutral R1s, if you like get a half hit or something like that, you can go directly into the running R2, and the first part of that is unreactable. And if you're chipped, that's a devastating combo too. So it was just the fact that Eli could not really aggress because he wasn't aware of, like the use case for the running attacks. But
oh boy, we were talking about it earlier, and it does look like we have this setup. How can the straight swords be against the Salernia?
Yeah, Solarius. Yep.
So how can they do? Because we just saw this match with Eli versus Witnake. But now we're in the finals, and now we have a different player and a little bit different style with the Power Sand Spears.
Yes,
Great Spears.
Indeed.
So how does that work? Maybe you can lead us into the match and start us off.
All right, dude, here we go. So I think, honestly, I'll just say a little thing before we hop right into it. But once again, the erratic movement that Space Ranger possesses is going to be his greatest asset against Witnake here. And Witnake, obviously, is such a good hard read player. That's why this matchup is actually so exciting to really see before us here. And it's just, I honestly can't wait. So without further ado, let's get into it, dude. 3, 2,
finals,
1, go. Grand finals.
All the marbles. This is it. But of course, they have to win 4, and that is a tall order.
It is indeed.
Who do you think out of these two players, on your experience, who do you think has the best adaptability? And we're not talking Dark Souls 2, but who can adapt the best?
Dude, with what I've seen out of Witnake in particular, especially against Eli, after getting like dominated in the first match, or the first round rather of that match, and just his prowess and his ability to keep his composure throughout the entirety of the rest of the match, and even his ability to adapt to his opponent mid-match. That's not something that you see a lot. And I know that Space Ranger is definitely that way too, but I don't know, man. Both players are definitely on their A game here. and it could honestly go either way. Exceptional spacing from the side of Space Ranger there. My word.
I mean, a lot of people might miss some of the little intricacies. Space Ranger is doing. There's a tech that people use. It's sort of the stop tech.
Yeah, stop stuttering. Yep.
So he's just doing everything. He's flopping around. He's stopping. He's just trying to make Witnake make a mistake. And you see how good these players are. Where 2 hits, I think, throughout the entirety so far. Like they neither have barely been hit, and it's like it's crazy.
Whoa, the free aim to anti-air with the half hit. That was, oh my
wild.
God.
That was wild. That's
unbelievable.
Like is this guy using half mouse to spin the damn thing?
Right? Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like, dude. Oh my word. Okay, and Space Ranger gets tripped up a little bit with the running L1 there unintentionally. Goes for the jumping L1 on the breakaway. Does not land though. Witnake definitely has the HP advantage here, but, and once again, Witnake with the crouching R1s, he's been making great use of that throughout the match thus far. A beautiful jumping L1 on the side of Witnake. Does get tripped up. Yes, indeed. But Witnake is definitely picking his moments, and that's something that Witnake has been doing exceptionally well throughout the entirety of this tournament thus far. Is his timing has just been incredible.
I mean, obviously, to make it here, another sort of anti-air. I would like to see Witnake use more running L1s. I actually think those are pretty good, especially in a matchup where you can stun your opponent. They don't have hyper.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a mix-up. Yeah, and we could definitely see, and as we saw right there, Witnake definitely used the sword dance as a mix-up. But unfortunately, Space was able to read it there. And Space actually going for a cheeky neutral, jumping L1 there. And unfortunately, does not land. But Witnake is just playing exceptionally well here. And of course, Space Ranger was able to catch him on the breakaway there. Unfortunately, just a little bit mistimed on the side of Witnake there with the sword dance. Unbelievable calculations from both players here.
I mean, the fact that they're in the mix and they're not getting hit, like, it blows my mind every time. Like, right there, like, what is going on? Who's reading? It's crazy for how fast and how swift. There we go. The crouch attack, nice mix up there.
Yep. And Space is now in red and blue feather range, which is incredibly dangerous for Witnake. And of course, Witnake's tier is indeed procced as well. Beautiful backswing after the jumping L1 and is able to round it out with the pressure on the neutral L1 yet again. Unbelievable play.
Yeah, I mean, man, Witnake showing that, you know, it wasn't just Eli that I can take care of. I can take care of someone else who's spastic with these Parasance Great Spears. Space Ranger, I don't know. I feel like this first match was a feeler.
It was.
Space Ranger, I don't think he got the confidence under him yet to sort of try to stick with their game plan. I think they were kind of trying to understand what Witnake is going to do, so on and so forth. And I think that shows Witnake's adaptability in match.
Yeah. Yet again.
To get the victory and to just slightly alter timings and space and to get the victory, as we see roll catch right here.
Yep. And that debate to round out the match, because you saw Witnake go for the crouch and he thought Space Ranger thought that he was going for the crouching R1, but just rounded it out with the roll catch with the neutral L1 there. But
yeah,
I don't want to delay anymore, dude. We need to get into these. These are exciting. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
All right, here we go. Witnake is up 1-0. Of course, that doesn't mean anything. We have a lot more matches to go. We'll see. We'll see the adaptability.
Agreed. Yeah, yep, 100%. And I'm very curious to see if Space Ranger is able to, once again, like you just mentioned, adapt on the fly here, play a little bit more confidently overall. Actually gets caught with the crouching L1 there. I actually love this so much, dude. Yeah, that straight sword is more than just a one trick anymore. You actually have a reason to actually utilize all of the moveset. This is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I think Witnake might have even pivoted that, which shows you the extreme talent. Because he was trying to get the the 2-frame slight early hit on that. Like, it was just like ridiculous min-maxing.
Yeah, dude, right?
It's just like, Crazy.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful breakaway punish and whiff punish on the side of Space Ranger, actually managing to punish the crouching R1, which is one of the lowest recovery attacks in the game.
Yeah, you see Space Ranger doing a better job not getting into trouble. Look at that standstill. Oh my god.
Yep.
Just,
And the
what are you gonna
offensive
do,
pressuring.
you know?
Yeah, the offensive pressuring there. And not only that, dude, but what stop stuttering does to your opponent's mental cannot be understated.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's why I just attack. I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna attack you.
Dude. But yeah, no, like Space is definitely, his movement is definitely way more on point than it was in the first match here. We're definitely seeing a lot of stop stuttering actually happening from the side of Space Ranger as well this time around, which is very, very cool to see. And we definitely see a little bit of a jumping R1 action, and that stop stuttering on the side of Witnake yet again, the unlocked turnaround of the sword dance, knowing that Space Ranger was out of range for it. A little bit of a backswing, gets caught with the half hit on the jump over on the side of Space Ranger. Space needs to be incredibly careful here. His timing is just slightly off here, but Witnake is able to, and both players actually making each other panic there for a split second. But we see a little trade right here, and that Space Ranger stays in and is able to land yet another crouching L1.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, he tried an R1, which I don't even understand. But oh, here we go. Space Ranger bringing this one back.
Yes, he is indeed. And oh, a little bit of a cheeky unintentional, what I would assume is unintentional running L1.
Oh, the panic! He's panicking.
But yeah, Witnake is definitely on the back foot here, and he gets rounded out
and caught
towards the end. Man, that must have really, really got into his head there. Just had him on the back foot.
There? You know, I always say no mistake Witnake, but he fell apart at the end. He just panicked.
Yeah, let's see what happens here.
So we see Witnake is ahead, but then right there, that shouldn't have been a trade. That was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was pretty messed up, actually. Because that ruined the flow
and he went
there
for the crouching R1 there, and yeah, did queue up the whiff backstab attempt. Thankfully, it does not lock you in place for 10 years anymore, which was an exceptional change on From Software's side.
And then you see right here getting punished, Witnake.
Yeah, Space just not afraid at all. That's what I really want to point out here, too, is he is not afraid in the slightest.
And then I think after this exchange, he panics. Like, look at this. He's panicking hard.
Yeah, because Witnake knew that he was getting in red and blue feather range, and he was wanting to actually swap, or what I would assume.
Oh, true. Yeah,
and
you're right.
Yeah, he wanted to get that on, and he just could not get away from the vortex. And of course, getting right into it yet again, dude. All right.
Definitely, man. 1-1. 1-1 in the super finals.
Yes.
Space Ranger, Witnake. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
All right. No physic punish coming out from players here, which is very interesting. I'm interested to see if we'll potentially see